Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's 6 minutes past the hour, 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson. I am your friend and radio buddy, and I am in the chair and on the air till about 7 o'clock tonight to bring you news and information and a little levity maybe now and then as we try to, make sure that you get home safely. That's what the drive is all about. Let's start with our 2024 update, if we could, because we've got an amazing set of polls that I need to talk to you about. This is good stuff, folks. Donald Trump's numbers looking really, really good, and he's about that close. If these polls are correct, he's about just a scrunch short of being in position to claim more than 270 electoral college votes, which is, of course, what the elections are about. I mean, you can look at the numbers, the popular numbers like, Trump versus Biden general election numbers, and they're tight. Sometimes it's Biden up by one, and sometimes it's Trump up by one, but they're close. But that, of course, is not how we elect presidents. We elect presidents through the Electoral College, and you've got to look at the battleground states, and you got to look at where all the numbers are. And so that's what we're going to look at now. A New York Times Siena poll, widely respected poll. Here we go. This is the two-way numbers. Arizona, Trump up by 6. Georgia, Trump up by 9. Michigan, Biden up by 1. So it's very tight in Michigan, but Biden is up by 1. Nevada, this is an amazing number. Trump is up by 13, according to the New York Times Siena poll. In Pennsylvania, Trump is up by 3. And in Wisconsin, he's up by 1. Now, those are the two-way numbers. That's Trump versus Biden. If we have an election where there are, as many as 5 names on the polls, don't change dramatically. Biden does a tad better in Michigan. It'd be Biden plus 3. But in the other places, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin specifically, Trump would do better than in the two-way number. Nevada, he would be up by 14, not 13. In Pennsylvania, he would be up by 4, not by 3. And in Wisconsin, if you compare the two-way and the 5-way number, he would be up by 4. Trump basically is leading right now in 5 out of the 6 battleground polls, and that is battleground states. That is amazing. Now, I've gone through and have munched up the numbers. Let's assume for a moment that these numbers in Arizona, where he's up by 6, and Georgia, where he's up by 8, and the numbers in Nevada, where he's up by, 14 or 13, let's say that we're going to go ahead and award those states right now on the Electoral College map to Trump. Well, that puts him at 268. That puts him at 2 short of what he would need to be to have 270. And in the states that are TCTC, too close, too call, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, he must win 1 of the 3. He must win 1 of the 3. So, if I were looking at these numbers as Joe Biden, I would be puckered. If I was looking at this from the Republican side, I would say pretty good chance things are going to work out if these numbers are indeed accurate. What has changed? Well, the fact of the matter is that nothing much has changed. In fact, it's remarkable how much has not changed given all that's been going on in the world right now. The polls offer little indication, according to thenews.com, that any of the developments of recent time, like the stock market, has actually gone up about 25%. Since they last ran this poll. Mr. Trump's criminal trial in Manhattan has started, and the Biden campaign has unleashed tens of millions of dollars in advertisements across the battleground states, and there's no change. I mean, it just stays there. The polls offer little indication that any of these developments have helped Mr. Biden, hurt Mr. Trump, or quelled the electorate discontent. Instead, their surveys show that the cost of living, immigration situation, the war in Gaza, and a desire for change continue to be a drag on President Biden's standing, Now, Mr. Biden benefited from a burst of momentum in the wake of the State of the Union in March. He continues to trail in the average of national and battleground polls. The findings reveal widespread dissatisfaction with the state of the country, serious doubts about how Mr. Biden's ability to deliver major improvements to American life. A majority of voters still desire the return to normalcy promised by Mr. Biden in the last campaign, but voters in the battleground states remain particularly anxious, unsettled, and itching for change. Nearly 70% of voters say that the country's political and economic systems need major changes or even need to be torn down entirely. Only a sliver of Mr. Biden's supporters, just 13%, believe that the president would bring major changes in a second term. See, that's deadly right there. While even many of those who dislike Mr. Trump grudgingly acknowledge he would shake up an unsatisfying status quo. The sense that Mr. Biden would do little to improve the nation's fortunes has helped erode his standing among young, black, and Hispanic voters who usually represent the foundation of any Democrat path to presidency. The Times Siena poll found that the three groups wanted fundamental changes to American society, not just a return to normalcy, and few believed that Biden would make even minor changes that would be good for the country. Listen to this, 18 to 29-year-olds and Hispanic voters, even though each group gave Mr. Biden more than 60% of the vote in 2020, Mr. Trump wins more than 20% of black voters, a tally that would be the highest level of black support for any Republican presidential candidate since the enactment of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. I mean, that is a devastating scenario and a set of facts that is falling every step of the way against the incumbent president of the United States. Black voters are particularly interesting in that more and more of them are now leaning, young voters, black voters, leaning toward Mr. Trump and away from Mr. Biden. Mr. Biden still has, President Biden still has a great deal of black support, but the young black voters especially have a problem with this guy. Here's a black voter that was captured by a TV camera in Wisconsin. Excuse me, we'll try that one more time. It always helps when you have the right button pushed. Here we go.
I didn't like hearing the current president now say that, if you're not black if you don't vote Democrat. I thought that was a load of BS. I thought that was an insult.
Yeah, I actually found that old soundbite in the archives.
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
It's funny how one little thing that was some time ago, and that sticks in people's minds. That didn't come across very well for a lot of people. So there's a Michigan poll that is done by a Michigan Ross poll done by the Financial Times. Very quickly, let me just hit this one, because Michigan is really crucial. If you win Michigan, if Trump wins Michigan, it's pretty much over for Biden. The recent uptick in U.S. inflation appears to reverse any progress President Joe Biden has made in convincing voters he can do better a job of managing the economy than Donald Trump. This poll in Michigan finds that after a slight uplift in April, Biden's approval ratings on the economy fell back to levels that will make for depressing reading among White House incumbents. That comes after price data show inflation might prove stickier than anticipated at the start of the year. Voters dislike the concept of Bidenomics. No kidding. While economists and investors are trumpeting the stellar performance of U.S. growth over the past 18 months, voters are not. The polls show 71% of the 1,000 respondents believe economic conditions are negative. The figure is in line with earlier months, signaling that it has little to do with the news that growth has slowed to an annualized rate of 1.6%, down 3.4% in the fourth quarter of last year. See, the problem is that, yeah, if you look at your 401k, it is looking a little better. I mean, the stock market has generally had a pretty good run of late. However, that's not how people perceive the economy. They perceive the economy about their day-to-day expenses. their day-to-day expenses, where you have a situation, for example, where the average inflation since Joe Biden took office is somewhere between 20 and 30%, depending on what part of the country you live in. 20 and 30% inflation. Your wages have gone up maybe a little in that time, but not 20 or 30%. So you're falling behind. You're not keeping up with the rate of inflation. And so people are frustrated at the high cost of, just everything, just about everything. Van Jones, a Democrat on CNN, said in a set of battleground state polls showing former President Trump with the lead of President Biden is a wake-up call for Democrats. He said it could be attributed to younger voters turning against Biden. It should be a wake-up call that young people are upset. And it's not just the situation in Gaza. I agree. He's right about that. The economic prospects for young people are miserable. Here's the folks over at CNN, and they're going over these numbers, same numbers, and they're just, they seem to be almost apoplectic.
These Sunbelt battleground states, frankly, for the Joe Biden campaign, these numbers are an absolute disaster. The smallest lead is in Arizona for Donald Trump. He's up 6. Look at this, 9 in Georgia, 13 in Nevada. My goodness gracious, my God. That is a huge lead. No Democrat has lost that state since John Kerry lost it back in 2004. How about these Great Lake battleground states? This is something that the Joe Biden campaign can work with. Look, Pennsylvania, Donald Trump up 3, but that's well within the margin of error. Wisconsin, Donald Trump up 1, well within the margin of error. And actually, a Joe Biden lead well within the margin of error, up a point here. This they can work with the Joe Biden campaign. This, the Donald Trump campaign, absolutely loves, and it looks like a lot of the other polling on the Sunbelt battlegrounds.
When you're looking into the numbers, why do you think Biden is doing better in the Great Lakes and Trump is doing so much better in the Sunbelt?
Yeah, the Trump coalition is changing. That's basically what's cooking here. This is at least one of the big reasons why. So this is among likely voters in these in all these battleground states we just spoke about. Back in 2020, 84% of the Trump campaigns, the Trump coalition was white. Look where it is now. It's 78%. The non-white portion of the Trump coalition, it was 13% in 2020. Look at this now. It's 19%. So the Trump coalition is becoming more diverse. And, of course, those Sunbelt battleground states are more diverse than the Great Lake battleground states.
You're looking at the Nevadas and the Arizonas here.
Of course. If you look at Nevada, Arizona, heavy Hispanic population, Georgia, heavily African-American population. Michigan does have some black voters in it, but Pennsylvania and Wisconsin are heavily, heavily white.
Very interesting. Okay, add it all up. What does this say about where the race stands right now? We're talking Electoral College and the race to 270.
Yeah, the race to 270. It's advantage Donald Trump, but he's not over the 270 mark just yet, all right?
There you go. That's CNN rubbing their hands in sort of a spite of angst. Donald Trump had a rally in New Jersey. Somewhere, most people agree, between 80 and 100,000 people showed up in a very blue state to show their support for Donald Trump. And he's talking now about expanding the map and going into places and winning where Democrats have always done very well and Republicans have struggled.
Thank you very much, Wildwood. Thank you. We love Wildwood. We've been here many times. We love this place. And there's nowhere else I'd rather be this beautiful evening. It is a nice one, right? Than right here on the Jersey Shore at the world-famous Wildwood Boardwalk. Great place with thousands of proud, hard-working American patriots. As you can see today, we're expanding the electoral map because we are going to officially play in the state of New Jersey. We're going to win the state of New Jersey. Got a great group of people with us, an incredible group of people. We're also looking really great in the state of Minnesota, which hasn't been won since 1952, and we're leading in the polls. And the state of Virginia, and actually many other states. I don't know, it could be all of them. This guy's so damn bad, it could be all of them. He's so bad, I think we're going to win them all. All across America, millions of people in so-called blue states are joining our movement based on love, intelligence, and a thing called common sense.
So there you have it. Look, what's interesting to me, big picture, is that there have been some things that have been thrown against Trump with some of these trials, but it doesn't seem to matter. And no matter if there is even incremental improvement in the economy, especially in the stock market, that doesn't matter. People, I think, have baked in their positions on Donald Trump and Joe Biden fairly early. And it's going to take something very dramatic to change it. 22 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock. Stinky is what, if you go to a lot of garages, you're going to find a stinky, messy, oily, greasy, nasty place, right? Old rags lying around, a filthy countertop that you don't want to touch. Another thing that stinks at some of these repair shops is that they keep your car forever. They're not honest, and they don't call you back when they say they will. If that was your last experience at a vehicle repair shop, listen, why don't you think about going to Eurofix? Eurofix takes the stink out of European auto repair. At Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit. No high-pressure sales tactics. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment, and never pay dealer prices. Eurofix is now in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and their newest location is in Mount Juliet, right across from the Dairy Queen. Call 844-EUROFIX, 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEurofix.com and tell them your friend and radio buddy Brian Wilson sent you.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
More testimony out of former President Trump's hush money trial, a fatal ATV accident here in the volunteer states, and those college protests still going on nationwide. We got an update on what some universities are doing for their graduation ceremonies. 3:30, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
There's Mac Morey with all the stories. He's also the host of the wildly received, critically acclaimed, I guess you would say, Mac Morey's Wide, Wacky World of Sports, which is at 5:25 each day. Good to have you on there. There's Chris Weber. He's in the control room with all the blinky buttons, making sure that the technology has been beaten properly into submission.
Yeah, I get critical acclaim from my mother.
Oh, did you?
You know, she's the only one that really counts.
Well, that's right. That's right. Did you have guys a nice weekend? I mean, the weather. Oh my gosh,
so
the
good.
weather was just amazing, wasn't
Nice.
it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. We're inundated here at Stately Wilson Manor with, I think the official term is a jillion cicadas. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's almost overwhelming how many cicadas there are. I was actually thinking, man, I don't guess I'm going to get many cicadas. I was a little disappointed. I thought it's a phenomenon. I'd like to observe it. I've never seen the 13-year emergence before. We used to have the annual version in Texas, and they come out every year, and they were bigger, as I recall, than the ones I'm seeing here.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Smaller.
Yeah. And so it was. I remember them, but I don't remember them by the jillions. Literally. And so I spent a lot of a lot of time taking dead cicadas out of a swimming pool. That's not a lot of fun for sure.
You must have got my share because I don't know that I've seen any at my house.
Really?
I've seen them around, when I've been in places. I've seen them here, but I don't think I've seen any in the backyard.
Well, they're like, it's nuts. It's nuts here at my house. It's unbelievable. I've got a big tree canopy out behind my house. You've been there.
Yeah.
And they're just, literally, it's like bees around a hive, except they're not bees, they're cicadas.
Wow.
It's just insane. Of course, we're watching out the window here in my studio. We have now determined that we have a brood. I don't know what you call them before they're hatched, but we have 4 cardinal eggs on the nest, and a mama doing a great job. And we're waiting to see when the cardinals hatch. Apparently, I'm amazed. Apparently, it's only like 19 days from the time they're hatched.
Oh, really?
The time they're laid to the time they hatch. And then after that, it's just a matter of days when they first leave the nest. It was shocking to me.
Really?
How quickly these birds
fast?
will. Yeah, that's what I'm told anyway.
Well, you're going to find out.
I'm going to find out because I'm going to set up a little bird camera over at the window so we can see the cardinals when they're hatched. They're beautiful birds. They're so pretty.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, the highlight of the weekend, and maybe, one of the highlights, it's on my bucket list of things I wanted to see. I got to see the Aurora Borealis this weekend. Well, Friday night. I was sitting around watching TV thinking, well, I'll go out in a little bit. And then I happened to pick up my phone and I say, oh my gosh, it's happening now. People are posting pictures. And my wife and I went out and drove around in, a little north of Watertown to get away from some of the lights.
Yep.
So you can see. And I missed the most dramatic part of it, I'll be honest, but I did get to see literally the pink and maybe a little bit of the red, which I am told the red is one of the rarest kinds of colors that you see during the northern lights because that's excited oxygen, and for some reason that's an unusual one. But it was amazing, and the pictures, I know you've seen them on social media.
Man.
They're truly amazing.
Gorgeous.
They said on Friday I was saying, well, I don't know, folks, if we're on the bubble, we may or may not see them. If you go out, don't get disappointed if you don't see anything. It was a much bigger event than they thought. They said it was going to be a magnitude 4 event. It turned out to be a magnitude 5 event. And I saw pictures as far south as Panama City Beach, Florida.
Yeah, I have several friends from back home in Middle Georgia. They were posting photos, and I thought, wow, they can see it that way down there too.
Yeah, it's really quite amazing. It really was a thing. Then Saturday and Sunday night were sort of a wash. I think tonight looks like it's going to be a wash.
Yep.
For us. But further north, yes, but down here, a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Time for the news now, 31 minutes past the hour.
3:31, I'm Mac Morey with your top story. 66 degrees, light rain around Nashville. Going to be a wet week. Full weather forecast, traffic report coming up 5 minutes. Former President Trump's Michael Cohen fixer lays out the scheme to make hush money payments to Stormy Daniels. Dave Packer.
On the stand, Michael Cohen laying out the paper trail of hush money payments to keep Stormy Daniels quiet about her alleged tryst with Donald Trump. After National Enquirer publisher David Pecker refused to pay for another catch and kill for Trump, Cohen describing opening an account for a shell company created to make the payment and telling the bank it would be used for consulting fees, something he now says was false. Cohen testifying he took out a home equity loan to raise the $130,000 to silence Daniels and that Trump approved.
Here in Tennessee with a crime story, a teenager died in an ATV accident on Saturday evening. It happened on Darbytown Drive here in Nashville. A 14-year-old girl was driving and hit the driver's side of a Jeep Patriot. Her passenger, 14-year-old Melanie Mosqueda, was transported to a hospital where she passed away. The driver had minor injuries. Neither were wearing a helmet. There was no evidence of intoxication at the scene. And as more colleges nationwide hold graduation ceremonies, many still dealing with those protests. Alex Stone reports.
Over the weekend, police in riot gear scuffled with pro-Palestinian protesters who tried to block access to Southern California's Pomona College commencement ceremony, which had already been moved to a new venue because the original stage had been overtaken by protesters. And at Arizona State University, the campus police chief is now under investigation on paid administrative leave for his handling of recent protests. He's accused of being seen in street clothes cutting down tents with a knife.
And that is the latest news, traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Let me tell you about the folks over at DT McCall's, a good company. They've been in business in this area for more than 100 years. And you know, that only happens if you have a reputation for treating people right. Because quickly, if stores that don't treat people right, they don't last that long. They go away over time. And I've got in my house all kinds of stuff that I bought at DT McCall. Furniture. Yes. Appliances, absolutely. And what I love about them is that they're going to give you an honest price. You say, okay, well, how much is this thing? And they'll give you a good price, and it's an honest price. And when you go to a big box store and you try to do the same thing, they say, well, here's our price. And you think, well, that's a pretty good price. And then you find out, oh, but there are some hidden charges here. Things like, you know, the cost of having it delivered. You want it delivered? Well, of course you want it delivered. Well, it's going to cost you more. You want it set up? Yep. Well, there's a setup charge. What about hauling that old thing that you no longer need away? Well, there's a charge for that as well. See, at DT McCall's, they don't play those games. They're just honest with you. They gave you a good price, and it's an honest price right from the very start. 5 convenient locations, so no matter what it is you need for your house, whether it's furniture, whether it's appliances, whether it's a zero-turn mower, whether it's a gun safe, I mean, anything you could think of, they've got it. Just go to one of their 5 convenient locations or check out their website, dtmccalls.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
.39 now past the hour. Somebody who got on the members nutrition super text line said, when you have a bunch of eggs, it's a clutch.
Yeah, that is correct. I did verify. And you were corrected. A brood, that's what you call it after they're hatched.
It's a clutch beforehand. It's a brood after.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I was, I was sort of right. But, look, I'm a city boy. I grew up in a town of about 100,000 people, so we didn't have no cardinals. Didn't have any, not many birds either, quite frankly. It was desert.
Maybe you had some roadrunners or something?
Yeah, you could find a roadrunner now and then. And a lot of horny toads. There are a lot of horny toads, but that's the kind of thing we had. We were talking earlier about the numbers for the election and how they are looking, pretty good for Trump in the battleground states. He leads in 5 out of 6. Really, honestly, it's going to come down to Minnesota. It's going to come down to Michigan. It's going to come down to Pennsylvania. And if Trump wins one of those 3, the way it's looking now, he's got a pretty good, it's going to be, that'll put him over 270 electoral college votes if everything goes the way we think it's going to go. And there's a lot of uncertainty in all of this, but you never know. But that's the way it feels right now. And the reason is, I think, is largely people are very upset about the anemic economy. The truth of the matter is, stock market is up. We'll show you, where that is here in just a few minutes. But people don't really experience the stock market in the way that they experience going to the grocery store, or filling up the tank of their car, or needing to buy things, or maybe now, if you're younger and you're trying to get into your first home, how immensely difficult it is for people to do so because of the high cost of living and inflation. And so I think that is a headwind for the Biden administration. Oh, they claim, Bidenomics is working. But it doesn't feel that way, does it? No, it doesn't. They can cherry pick some data and say, well, this looks good and this looks good and the markets are up and, all that. But honestly, when you have to, dig into your credit card just to pay for the grocery bills, something's not right. From Fox Business, inflation has majority of retirees worried that they will outlive their assets. Rising prices take a toll on retired Americans, study finds. After years of elevated inflation that continue to chip away at the value of a dollar, a majority of retired Americans are worried they do not have sufficient savings to sustain themselves through the entirety of their golden years. A new survey of 2,000 U.S. retirees released by Schroders found 68% are concerned about outliving their assets, and less than half, 44%, believe they have saved enough. The report stated that the rising prices are taking a toll on Americans who are in retirement, finding that 89% of respondents are concerned over inflation lessening the value of their assets. 85% said they're concerned about higher than expected health care costs. 76% said they are concerned about a major market downturn that would significantly reduce their assets. 1 out of 3 retirees told Schroders they are concerned that financial stress will affect their overall health, and 26% said they have lost sleep while worrying about their financial situation. That's sad. It really is sad. Whether it's a trip to the gas station, grocery store, or pharmacy, prices in the U.S. have increased noticeably in recent years, and that is particularly challenging for retirees living on fixed income sources, said Deb Boyden, head of the U.S. Defined Contribution at Schroders. There you go. House affordability, according to the Epoch Times, the sharp increases in federal spending, debt, and money creation have raised mortgage rates from 2.9% when President Biden took office to 7%. As a result, many who dreamed of owning a home have been priced out of the market. Stark difference between today's home buyer and a home buyer from January of 21 is shocking. In the first quarter of 21, a worker with an average annual salary of $54,000 could get a 30-year mortgage at 2.9%. Putting 20% down on an average house, the monthly cost for mortgage and taxes was 16% of the worker's annual salary. Today, with a mortgage rate of 7%, the monthly cost of the mortgage takes 39% of the average worker's gross income when buying a house is more than twice as difficult as it was 3 years ago. Living standards are down, and they are not up. See, that's the way it's going for people. The cost of energy, gasoline, and transportation further depresses budgets. How about that? Yeah. A key object in Bidenomics involves the government redirecting resources to change the climate. The effort to eliminate fossil fuels has led to soaring energy prices, particularly for oil and gasoline. Under Bidenomics, oil and gasoline prices are up 50%. Energy prices up 40%. For homeowners heating their homes and those who must drive to work, a 50% increase in this basic necessity drives living standards down more than overall inflation would suggest. Supermarket sticker shock. We all have to eat, right? Food represents a critical component of the budget, particularly for those with lower incomes and those on fixed budgets. Under Bidenomics, consumer food prices have increased by 2 percentage points faster than the overall inflation. Certain staples, such as meat, up 4% more than inflation. Eggs, which doubled in price, have created an extra burden for those on limited incomes. I mean, this is why these numbers for Trump are looking so much better, because it just wasn't that way under Trump. Trump is picking up, as we said, young voters. Listen to this. Gen Z is in the financial trenches. This is according to CNN. A new study from credit reporting agency TransUnion found that those in their early 20s are earning less, have more debt, and see higher delinquency rates than millennials did at their age. The findings outline the credit usage of 20 to 24-year-old Gen Zers. Millennials who fell in that range in 2013 were asked about their credit usage during that period. Gen Zers are defined as those born between 95 and 2012. Millennials born between 80 and 94. Gen Zers, like millennials, have had to deal with economic calamities earlier in their careers. Because Gen Z, it was COVID-19. For millennials, it was the global financial crisis. But the current generation of early 20-somethings have another challenge, sticky inflation, that has driven up the prices of everything from gas at the pump to food at the grocery store. Interest rates perched at a 23-year high have also hiked borrowing rates for auto loans, student loans, and mortgages. The young folks who, I worked hard when I was a young man. When I was in my 20s, I was able to buy a house at the time, and it was a nice little house, modest little house, but of something I was very proud of. In my 20s, 2 incomes at that time. We were dinks, no children, dual income, no kids, dual income, no kids.
Never heard that.
Yeah, they call them dinks. And so we were able to get into a little house. That dream was phenomenal. I mean, how proud I was to come home and park my car in my garage and sit on my back porch and grow a lawn and take care of a place, and how proud I was of that modest little place. Don't get that now. The kids, younger people, are just priced out of it. That's why so many of them, I think, are now making a decision that they just don't think that whatever Joe Biden is doing with the economy is working. Store closures are surging this year. 24% increase of brick and mortar stores closing. Listen to this statistic. This is shocking. 3,200 brick and mortar stores in the United States have already closed in 2024. 24% increase from a year ago. According to a report from retail data provider CoreSite, which tracks stores, closures, and openings across the U.S. Some retailers are planning to expand this year. Major chains have announced 4% fewer opens compared with a year earlier. But, there are a lot of places like Rite Aid, Rue 21. The largest number of store closures stems from Dollar Tree's announcement earlier this year that it plans to close more than 600 Family Dollar locations in 2024, with the discount store citing the impact of inflation and its on its customers, as well as increasing in shoplifting. Not a good thing when you're starting to see. Now, some of that is Amazon. There's no doubt about it. Amazon having some impact on that. Are consumers cutting back? Recent data shows Americans are still opening their wallets. However, some signs that consumers are starting to now pull back a bit amid a modest economic slowdown. The University of Michigan Survey of Consumer Sentiment Index for May dropped to 67.4, which is the largest monthly decline since mid-2021. Confidence dipping because of expectations for higher inflation and softer growth, said Jeffrey Roach. I don't understand how in the world. We heard Biden just the other day in that remarkable CNN interview he did with Aaron Burnett, talking about how, we understand people are feeling pain, but the economy is strong and this is good, and we're this, that, and they're trying to put lipstick on the pig. And I think he may believe it. I think he may honestly believe things are good because he's so removed from, everyday life that we all live there in the White House. He may not feel it. He may not really understand it. And the people around him are just pumping a bunch of sunshine. But one way or the other, out here in the real world, the economics are tough. And because of that, it is going to be very hard, I think, in the final analysis for this man who's currently in the White House to get a second term. 51 past the hour.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
More testimony coming from former President Trump's hush money trial. We've got local law enforcement. You may see them with the Tennessee National Guard this week. Don't be alarmed. We've got some news from today's White House briefing. Plus, major airlines suing the Biden administration. We'll tell you why. 4 o'clock, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, let's take a look at the markets. Dow Jones Industrial down today. First time in 9 days that it's been in the red, down 81 points. S&P down just a hair, one point and change. NASDAQ is up some 47, again, essentially flat. So what's driving the market today? I think everybody's looking for more information about inflation. Let's check in with John Maxson over at Beacon Capital Management for more on that.
Yeah, good afternoon, Brian. That's right. The market, a little bit of a pause today. It's really very little economic information, but that changes in a big way tomorrow. This is really going to be a big week for the Fed, for the market, for direction. It starts tomorrow with the producer price index, so the Fed's getting a lot of inflation information. That is coming in with a flat expectation of 0.2. That's what it was last month, but the big report is Wednesday. Consumer price index, which is a major and key driver for the Fed for inflation. The expectation is that's going to come in softer than last month. If that comes in softer, that's probably good for the market and for interest rate cuts. If it comes in higher, that could be a rocky day for the market. So key week for inflation.
All right, thank you much, John. And listen, find out all the things that John Maxson and the good people at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement. Just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. The Trump trials coming up. We'll give you all the details about what's happening in New York City right after the news. It's 3:59.
.401, I'm Mac Morey with your top story. 64 degrees, a cloudy, wet day here in Middle Tennessee. Traffic complete weather forecast coming up 5 minutes. Derek Dennis updates us on former President Trump's hush money trial as we hear more from testimony.
go wrong. That's the part of the testimony jurors are hearing in the hush money trial of former President Trump in New York City. Michael Cohen, Trump's former attorney and fixer, detailing things really soured with Trump in December 2016 after Trump won the election. Cohen says he had not been repaid the money he shelled out on Trump's behalf to pay off porn star Stormy Daniels. And on top of that, Cohen says his year-end bonus was cut by 2/3.
The relationship is critical here, and Trump and his attorneys are going to try and make it seem that they had a distant relationship, that Cohen was a liar. But that's just literally not the case at all. This is a guy who was by his side throughout everything. This is somebody who he essentially said was Trump's pit bull.
ABC's Catherine Falders. Prosecutors claim Cohen paid Daniels $130,000 to cover up an alleged sexual encounter she had with Trump in 2006 to keep her from hurting Trump's campaign.
Back here in Tennessee right now, News 2 reports that your local law enforcement may be working with the Tennessee National Guard this week as the Tennessee Military Department is conducting an emergency response exercise through the state from May 15th to the 19th. It's named Tennessee Maneuvers. The exercises will occur in several Tennessee counties, including Coffee, Davidson, Murray, Rutherford, and Wilson counties, as well as some other counties across the state. Numerous police and fire departments will be participating in the exercises, including the Nashville Fire Department's helicopter aquatic rescue team. All events will be coordinated through the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency and local emergency management agencies. And over in the nation's capital during today's daily White House briefing, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan pushed for ceasefire negotiations to continue between Israel and Hamas. Karen Travers.
National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says the Biden administration is, quote, urgently and relentlessly working for a ceasefire and hostage deal.
We believe there is a framework that both sides could sign up to, and it's really about the specifics of that framework and filling that out that's necessary.
Ceasefire negotiations broke down last week. Sullivan reiterating the U.S. believes the onus is on Hamas.
The world should be calling on Hamas to come back to the table and accept a deal.
And Reuters reporting major airlines suing the Biden administration over a new fee disclosure rule. Airlines for America, along with American Airlines, Delta Airlines, United Airlines, JetBlue Airways, Hawaiian Airlines, and Alaska Airlines, claim rule will confuse consumers and the federal government doesn't have the authority to make this rule. That's the latest news. Traffic, weather, they're on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Good afternoon, 4 o'clock, Monday afternoon on the 13th day of May. You know, we're almost halfway through the month of May. How about that? Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope that you're getting home safely. Hope your first day back in the work environment was a good one. And now we're going to get you home. But, you know, as good as the weather was this weekend, I think it's going to be sort of like what we're doing right now. 63, get gray, drizzle.
Yeah, not great, but you know, at least it's not severe.
Yeah, You know, rain is so much better when it's not accompanied by tornadoes and flooding. And I think we can all agree on that. But you know, let's get you home safely. Be careful out there. The roadways are a little wet, but we'll get you home, and you can begin your evening, and we will give you some information that'll help you understand what's going on in the world. There is a great deal of attention right now being paid to the Trump trial in New York because this guy who was, you know, there are these attorneys who do this. They're called fixers. They work to solve delicate issues for people who encounter delicate issues. And, you know, Trump apparently had some that needed to be dealt with. The former fixer's name is Michael Cohen. He's a snake. There's just no doubt about it. The guy's a complete snake. I mean, I'll give you one thing. He's the attorney for Donald Trump, representing him in some sensitive matters. And he comes into a meeting and records his own client.
I need to open up a company for the transfer of all of that info regarding our friend David, you know, so that I'm going to do that right away. I've actually come up and I've spoken to Alan Weisselberg about how to set the whole thing up with funding. Yes, and it's all the stuff because you know you never know where that company, you never know where he's going to be. Correct. So I'm all over that, and I spoke to Alan about it when it comes time for the financing, which will be.
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So no. I got no.
Yeah. So this is the kind of stuff that got revealed. Now, talk about a violation of attorney-client relationship. First of all, that's just disgusting. The second thing is this guy's a known liar. He's a perjurer. He's just a disaster. Every step of the way, this guy is just a total mess. And not to be, I don't think he has much credibility. I think he's got real problems in that regard. And so far, I haven't heard anything that actually purports to be a crime in this particular hearing. I mean, this is just, it seems to me, designed to sort of humiliate Trump and to bring up a bunch of old stuff that was all in the past and we haven't thought about or considered in months and months and months. It's all now being sort of, brought back up. But I mean, if you talk to the legal experts and all this, they all seem to say a lot of the same thing. I don't think they've proven a crime here. That doesn't mean that there won't be a conviction because we're talking about a very liberal jury pool, and we're talking a very, very liberal play, and that this whole thing, and they got a judge that's working against Trump at every possible turn. A lot of people look at it and say if the judge were an honest and above-board judge, he would have to have a directed verdict here and say, no, you didn't prove your case. We're not even going to take this to the jury. I'm going to give a directed verdict from the bench, which judges can do. So, I don't know. This is sordid. Yes, it's all Stormy Daniels. And what was he concerned about? Was he concerned about the campaign? Was he concerned about his wife? What was the problem? What was the issue? And so, again, this is a business records case, and the records don't really back up the allegation that has been made against Donald Trump. And I think people understand all this. I think people will look at this and they go, oh, really, honestly, it's not going to change their opinion about Donald Trump. It's not going to change it at all. Today, outside the court, I mean, of course, everybody, that doesn't mean that, there won't be, all kinds of breathless reporting about every little jot and tittle, everything that comes out of Michael Cohen's mouth. But I don't think, honestly, no matter how much reporting there is on it, I just there's not going to be anything that's so shocking that we haven't heard before that I think is going to dramatically change anything. Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio was outside the courtroom today and came there in support of President Trump. And here's how he made his assessment of this guy, Michael Cohen.
First of all, Michael Cohen is the prosecution's star witness. This guy is a convicted felon who admitted in his testimony that he secretly recorded his former employer, that he only did it once, allegedly, and that this was supposed to help Donald Trump. Does any reasonable, sensible person believe anything that Michael Cohen says? I don't think that they should, and I actually think that his testimony is going to hurt with any reasonable juror, and hopefully we have a few of those. I want to say two other things here very quickly. Number one, the thing that the president is prevented from saying, which is a disgrace, is that every single person involved in this prosecution is practically a Democratic political operative. The judge inside, his daughter is making millions of dollars running against Donald Trump, raising money for Donald Trump's political opponents. The number 3 person to the Department of Justice, Biden's Department of Justice, left to become a local prosecutor to go after Donald Trump. And of course, there's Alvin Bragg, a Soros-funded prosecutor who promised to go after Donald Trump and now is doing exactly that. Now, look, whether you love Donald Trump, whether you like Donald Trump, or whether you're a Democrat or don't care about politics, what's going on inside that courtroom is a threat to American democracy, ladies and gentlemen. We cannot have a country where you get to prosecute your political opponents instead of persuading voters. Joe Biden's entire strategy is to try to distract from inflation at home and war overseas with this sham trial. I just want to live in a reasonable country where we try to persuade voters in our politics. We don't try to throw our political opponents in jail. So this is a disgrace, and I wanted to be here to show some support for my friend.
Well, that's pretty powerful defense right there. J.D. Vance, has been talked about as a potential running mate for Donald Trump. And I'm telling you, the more I hear this guy, the more I like him. A lot of people apparently who are in the Trump corner will be making appearances outside this courtroom this week as they try to show their support and to say the things, quite frankly, that Donald Trump can't say because of the gag order that's in place. Here from the Wall Street Journal, just the headlines: former fixer Michael Cohen testifies Donald Trump micromanaged his work. What I was doing at the direction of the benefit of Mr. Trump. Michael Cohen, star witness in Donald Trump's hush money trial, took the stand Monday telling jurors how he constantly spoke to and sought approval from the former president when he arranged the purchase of negative stories that threatened his boss's election. 57-year-old Cohen testified during Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. He negotiated a payment to silence Playboy playmate Karen McDougal, who claimed she had had an affair with Trump. Cohen said he updated Trump, who tended to micromanage him every step of the way. You heard the recording, and which, to me just speaks of sort of the snakiness of the guy. How in the world could you have any respect for an attorney who tape records his own client? I mean, golly. And this from the Federalist, paralegal testimony. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's paralegal testified on Friday that his office deleted from their evidence 3 pages of phone records between convicted liar Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels' lawyer Keith Davidson without notifying former President Donald Trump's legal team, according to reports. Trump attorney Emil Bove questioned paralegal Jaden Jamel Schneider on Friday about 3 pages of 2018 phone records between Davidson and Cohen that Bragg's office had deleted, according to CNN. Additional phone records between Daniels' manager, Gina Rodriguez, and then National Enquirer editor Dylan Howard regarding Daniels' claim about her alleged affair were also deleted, according to the Epoch Times. The altered call records were submitted into evidence, but Bragg's office did not tell Trump's team that 3 pages were missing. Tampering with evidence is a Class E felony in the Empire State under New York consolidation laws, Penal Law 215.40, which states in part, well, I don't have that part of it, sorry. Trump's eldest son, Donald Trump Jr., took to X on Friday, calling the developments insanity. Here's what it states in part. A person is guilty of tampering with physical evidence when believing that certain physical evidence is about to be produced or used in an official proceeding or a prospective official proceeding, and intending to prevent such production or use, he suppresses it by any act of concealment, alteration, or destruction by employing force, intimidation, or deception against anybody else. And as I said, Donald Trump Jr. said, this is insanity. How on earth is this not a felony committed by Bragg and his minions? It sure would be if Trump did it. Well, he's right about that. Boy, is there a double standard here. Bragg, who campaigned for office and said he would target Trump, indicated that the former president in April of 2023 indicted him on 34 felony charges for allegedly falsifying business records. Bragg alleges Trump's lawyer at the time, Cohen, paid Daniels before the 2016 election to stay quiet about an alleged affair that the former president denies. But see, that's not what the charge is. The charge is, how did you handle it on the business records? When you put it down as a legal expense and the actual payment of money was being handled by your handler. I mean, is that a legal expense? This is a weak case. And really, honestly, you need to concentrate on one thing and one thing only, and that is, the documents. The documents are the story. And the documents is where the case is. And every time I look at everything regarding the documents, it seems to be that they haven't proven the documents case. Does it matter? I don't know. I think the thing I like about this jury, quite frankly, is that there are a couple of attorneys on the jury in the jury. There are two of them actually, and I'm hoping that when they go to deliberations, that at least one of these attorneys will stand up and say, "Well, I'm sorry, I can't help but look at this thing from a legal perspective, and they didn't provide the documents that prove their point." One way or the other, again, I keep coming back to the big picture, and that is it doesn't matter because none of this stuff seems to be resonating with the American people, despite the fact that there is all this breathless coverage of this sordid stuff. Doesn't seem to be registering, doesn't seem to be having, I think people know what they know about Donald Trump, and they either care or they don't care. And I think they look at the other guy, and I think they look at it and they say, we're in a mess on immigration. We're in wars around the world. And I think, we've got this situation down on the border, and the economy's in the toilet. And I think that those are the factors that are driving people's opinions about who they're going to vote for. So I think it's sound and fury, signifying not much when it comes to the actual election. And to my knowledge, and the best I can tell, though I'm not a lawyer, they haven't proven the case. 22 past the hour. There is no magic solution, no pills or magic spinal creams that can, magically open up your spinal disc and take pressure off the nerves that are causing you back pain. You really just have a couple of choices. That's really what it comes down to. You can undergo the surgery, or you can go through non-invasive spinal decompression. Now, I have done the other. I've done the non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. I had some issues with my neck. I had some issues with my lower back, and they really helped me a ton. Their state-of-the-art facilities, their high-tech equipment offer the latest non-surgical procedures. Getting better is so important. Dr. Kevin Mitchell, Dr. Ashley are offering half-off spinal decompression treatment and the KT knee machine. That's right. And if you were a new patient, Call this number, set up an appointment, 615-246-5009. You'll get your exam. You'll get your consultation. You'll get your first treatment for only $23. I'm Brian Wilson, and I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. So call them today. Again, the number, 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
A fatal shooting here in Tennessee, the danger to democracy in relation to threats against election workers, plus money news, figuring out what's going on Wall Street today, 4:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 26 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy. I want to bring you up to date on some of the tornado damage and some of the stories that we have following up on with regard to the tornadoes of last week. Very serious tornadoes, of course, and it seems that down in Columbia was the worst part of it as far as the tornado damage. But we really haven't talked as much about the flooding, and the flooding was very serious in some areas. I didn't realize how serious. This story, I got to tell you guys, caught my attention, and it was shocking. I mean, shocking. Rutherford County, this is according to Channel 2. A Lacassas farmer is counting his blessings after nearly all of his livestock was swept away by flash flooding last week.
Good grief.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable. Wow. Listen, this is a story. When I heard this, well, wait, the statistics in this are amazing. In decades of farming, Mike Vaught had never heard of floodwaters powerful enough to move cattle, nor have I. On average, weigh more about 1,000 pounds. A good cow, big cow, weighs 1,000 pounds. Takes a lot to move a cow, I would imagine. However, on Thursday, May 9th, Vaught said the creek rose more quickly than he's ever seen before. A friend of me calls me at 2 after 6. I went back and checked, and by 7 after 6, I had cows that were floating under the bridge. Houston Doris has worked on Vaught's farm for years and jumped in to help the moment he got the call. You could just see the cows literally floating away in the water.
Wow.
In total, listen to this, Vaught estimated that 100 of his cows were taken down Bradley Creek, and some eventually made their way into the Stones River. At first, he did not expect any would survive. I thought I would lose them all because I figured they get hung up in the trees and the pivot that's along the creek. And within 15 minutes, we were hearing cows calling, went down the road, and found a bunch. My wife and I got them in. Vaughn's daughter posted on social media asking people in the area to be on the lookout for their lost cattle. Then Vaughn started getting calls, and little by little, he was able to round up all the cows. With the help of neighbors, Vaught made multiple trips around town to pick up the packs of his cattle. The last two, listen to this. The last two he recovered on Saturday, May 11th, were found nearly 19 miles away.
Wow.
By Interstate 80 and Jefferson Pike. Those cows floated a long
That's just amazing.
Way.
Amazing that happened, and then probably just equally as amazing that he got every one of them back.
Every single one of them apparently was recovered. Doris believes the cows were hungry and ready to come home. They would come see up to me as soon as they saw me. And it's like, they were almost literally calmed down once they saw their owner. All his mature cattle have been accounted for. However, 6 of his calves have not been found.
Oh.
That's a sad deal. Though the cows do appear sore, he says they're doing well. You feel like you've not cared for them properly. You've done something wrong, but it was really an act of God that the creek came down. But then God's hand laid these other people at the right place at the right time, and I couldn't have done it without neighbors and friends. He's been raising cattle since birth, since he said some of which are now 15 years old. He's grateful to look out his window and see them reunited and grazing once again in his pasture. He said he'll give them antibiotics and some treatment in case they picked up any kind of infection along the way. Wow.
Amazing.
To have two of those cows float 19 miles.
Well, imagine what's going through their head as they're just floating along. Wow.
Wow. I mean, but this again, listen, the lesson that we all should learn from this is, the power of the water.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if it can wash away 1,000-pound cow, then what can it do to you?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't take much for it to wash a car off the road. So you really need to be respectful during flash floods. 31 past the hour.
.431, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Cloudy day, rain on and off throughout this afternoon in the mid-state. Forecast traffic report just ahead, 5 minutes. This just in Tennessee. One person is dead after a shooting in Madison. It happened in the area of Wellworth Street and Gallatin Pike just after 3 p.m. today. No other information has yet been released at this time. And the Attorney General says threats against election workers are endangering democracy. Stephen Portnoy reports from Washington.
As the election draws closer, the Attorney General says his department has seen an increase in threats against election workers. Threats targeting officials in Georgia, Michigan, and Arizona have resulted in years-long prison terms. And Merrick Garland says those cases involving defendants from across the country should serve as a warning.
If you threaten to harm or kill an election worker, volunteer, or official, the Justice Department will find you.
And now over to the money news. Daria Albinger filling us in on Wall Street.
Stocks closed mixed to start the week. The Dow was down 81 points, the S&P off just a point, while the Nasdaq was up 47 points. Investors are preparing for the Producer Price Index, or PPI, which will be released on Tuesday. It measures costs on the wholesale level. It's just one of two important inflation reports. It's followed a day later by the Consumer Price Index, which will show just what we are paying for just about everything from month to month and year over year. These reports often move in tandem. If one rises or falls, so does the other. The largest labor union in Nevada has ended a planned 48-hour strike. It was meant to pressure Virgin Hotels Las Vegas to agree to a 5-year contract on wages and benefits. More than 700 workers walked off the job near the Las Vegas Strip. Melinda French Gates is resigning as co-chair of the foundation she began with her ex-husband.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It is 39 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair on this Monday, May 13th. You know, I work for a conservative talk radio station. And you know, the thing about this station is that the things that we bring you are free. We bring you content, we bring you news, we bring you information. We are there for you like we were last week during the tornadoes. And we all do that in a for-profit model that requires that we do advertising. Okay, so that's the way our business model works. People, you know, some people say, well, I don't like advertising. You know, well, listen, I got to tell you, what are you paying for all the other stuff? Not a penny. You know, we thank our sponsors for sponsoring us so that we can bring you the stuff that I bring you every day. So if you appreciate the stuff that I bring to the table, or the stuff that Dan Mandis or the other guys bring to the table, you know, then you need to understand that it's only possible because we are a for-profit company. Now, there is one other radio outlet out there that is not for profit, and it is public radio. And, you know, we're talking about NPR, and we're talking about the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. We're talking to some degree about PBS. How does that all work? Because they don't run any commercials at all, or very few. You know, they mentioned some people who have made contributions, etc. You know, if you ever listen to them. And they're always asking you for money. But honestly, where does their money come from? And everybody says, well, it's federally funded. And they're very quick to say, well, that's not really true. We get about 1% of our funding from taxpayers. Well, here's just a quick question, NPR. If you only get 1% of your funding from taxpayers, then you could do without that 1%, right? Go ahead and run your operation based on, you know, the contributions that are made by donors and you know, these people that give them grants, you know, because they particularly like the program. Well, NPR is left-leaning. It's come under attack recently for being too far to the left, and it's government, basically government media. But you say, well, wait, what about this 1% thing? Great story in the Washington Examiner, written by a guy named James Irwin. Taxpayer-funded National Public Radio is under fire. Former NPR senior editor Uri Berliner, recent Free Press article about the far-left ideological capture of the government radio network's newsroom and its revelations about the radical progressivism of its new CEO has triggered new calls to defund NPR. Yes, the gentleman writes, NPR is biased, but Congress should defund it for a more basic reason. Taxpayers should not have to pay for a government radio network, even if it were the most neutral outlet on the market. Running a radio network is simply not the job of the government. It's not the job of the government to run radio networks and to provide competition against the rest of us around here trying to make a living as a company that actually has to charge for advertising to get our product on the air. NPR, founded 1970 by a group of public radio stations that successfully lobbied for federal funding from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a nonprofit organization funded entirely by our tax dollars. Many of these stations produce some content that you might want to listen to from time to time. However, federal funding gives NPR an unfair advantage over its competitors, and NPR is not transparent with the public about how much federal funding it actually receives. Listen, this is where it gets good. It explains how that you can knock back this argument that they only get 1% of their funding from taxpayers. At first glance, it appears to be true. 51% of its funding comes from corporate sponsorships and private donations, 31% from licensing fees, meaning the majority of its money comes from voluntary contributions and payments like any other media outlet. But if this is true, why does it need any taxpayer funding at all? NPR should sustain itself on corporate sponsorships, licensing fees, and private donations like its competitors without an unfair, if minimal, advantage from federal funding. Sadly, the claim that only 1% of its revenue comes from the forced donations of taxpayers is not true. On the same webpage where NPR claims this minimal taxpayer investment, it also says federal funding is, quote, essential to its mission. Well, the article asks, which is it? Here is the explanation. The answer lies in the 31% of its budget that comes from licensing fees. This significant chunk of revenue, which was as high as 37% in 2010, comes from member stations paying to license NPR-produced content, such as things like All Things Considered and Morning Edition. These stations receive, here it is, $128 million in federal grants annually, and they pay those to NPR for their programming in fees, programming fees. So they get federal grants, the stations do, totaling $128 million, and then they in turn have to pay that money back to NPR because the NPR produces their programming, or at least a good bunch of it. The most recent audit of NPR from 2022 reveals that it receives $93 million in revenue from these stations, which would account for about 73% of the CBP grants to affiliates. It's a shell game. Your tax dollars are given to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which passes a few million on to NPR so it can claim the taxpayer contribution is negligible, while the rest is laundered through local affiliates who kick the federal subsidy back to NPR. The public radio financing system is so opaque that no one is actually certain how much federal funding NPR receives. The affiliates are supposed to keep track of how much their federal grants end up back with NPR, but a government accountability audit in 2011 of 29 stations found the majority did not maintain the required records to answer the question. It's a money laundering operation and a scam. They come across as very left-leaning. There's just no doubt about it. Oh, they can claim that they're not. They can claim that they're running it up the middle. Over here on Super Talk 99.7 and other conservative talk stations, we're at least honest with you. We tell you what we are. We're a conservative talk station. If you choose to come here for that kind of content, understand that you don't pay a penny for the kind of stuff that we bring you each and every day. But the price is that you have to hear a few commercials. But over there, commercial-free, government-funded, and very left-leaning material and a very left-leaning tilt, as we have recently discussed. And it's being funded by your taxpayer dollars. What's fair about that? I mean, I can guarantee you that this radio station would love to have millions of dollars given to us so that we could go out and do, some other things, some additional programming, cut back on the number of commercials. Perhaps we would love to have that opportunity to do that. But that's just not our business model. We actually have to go out there and work for a living. We have to go out there and make this thing work as an economic operation that will make a profit. Hopefully, that's the goal. It's not right for us to have to compete against the federal government who gives them millions and millions of dollars through this sort of shell game that they pay with federal taxpayer dollars. How in the world did we ever allow this thing to get going in this way? It's un-American. State media seems to be sort of in direct violation of exactly, what we're supposed to be doing. With the First Amendment. The government should not be in the business of supporting a media operation. That's not their role. They're taking your money and they are redistributing it in a way to support something that we have to compete against here at Super Talk 99.7, and other radio stations have to as well. Why are you paying? Why do you allow the government to give the hard-paid The hard-earned taxpayer dollars that you send to them to redistribute a certain number of those into such a liberal, left-leaning operation where they can go 24/7 without any commercials. If you listen to NPR as a conservative, I got to ask you, what are you thinking? You say, well, I just want to get all viewpoints. Well, there are other ways to get the viewpoints. But supporting that is sort of against everything that we stand for as conservatives, isn't it? I'm so done with this. It seems to me to be an unfair advantage and not the way that government ought to not be in the business of broadcasting. They really should not. That's not what their role is. And especially, especially when the product that they put out is anything but neutral. Far from it. Absolutely far from it. So why are we paying for this? Congress must strip NPR of its federal funding. And let's do away with this Corporation for Public Broadcasting because I'm telling you, there's no need for it in a place where you have all these different radio stations that are available to you. Get rid of the government-funded competition and let the free market have its way. 50 minutes past the hour. I want to talk to you about the Nashville Golden Coin, folks. Good people. Folks at the chairman of I want you to remember that the chairman of the Federal Reserve has said, and he's right, that we're on an unsustainable fiscal path. We are not going to pay off that $34 trillion debt anytime soon. And you know what the government will do. They will pay the interest on the debt and then weaken the U.S. dollar. Maybe you need to make other investments. Maybe you've thought about adding gold or other precious metals to your portfolio, but you feel like, well, I really don't have the knowledge I need to make a smart decision. It's the way I felt, but I got the professional guidance I needed at Nashville Golden Coin. I mean, have you heard anybody describe something as being the gold standard? When it comes to finding an investment that protects you from runaway inflation, gold is the gold standard. It's a tried and true store of value consistent across generations. Here's the way it works. You call the folks at Nashville Golden Coin. They make an appointment, a one-on-one sit down with my friends there. They'll answer your questions, help you make the precious metals investment that is right for you. It's friendly. You'll learn a lot. You'll never be subjected to a high-pressure sales pitch. Gold and silver can be a safe haven in uncertain economic times, and my friends at Nashville Golden Coin are standing by to answer all your questions about the precious metals market. To set up that one-on-one appointment, just go to NashvilleGoldenCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldenCoin.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Today's court session of the Donald Trump hush money trial ended a fatal ATV crash in Tennessee. Baltimore bridge repair update, and cicada season is here if you haven't seen it or haven't heard it for that matter. Those stories and more 5 o'clock Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, was noticing that Grogu, which is Middle Tennessee's best known French bulldog, was not eating her dinner or her breakfast every morning.
Oh, no.
And so we were out on the patio out near the pool this weekend, and we figured out why she wasn't eating her regular meal, because she'd been chomping down on cicadas.
High in protein they are.
That's what I hear.
That's
And
good
apparently she loves them. She thinks they're great. But it just sort of ruined our meal during the chomp, crunch. It's 58 minutes now past the hour.
Five o'clock, I'm Mac Morey with your top story. 65 degrees, cloudy, a bit rainy in Middle Tennessee. Traffic, complete weather forecast 5 minutes away. Derek Dennis fills us in as today's testimony in the Donald Trump hush money trials concluded.
Court is done for the day after a long day of explosive testimony in the hush money trial of former President Trump in New York City. On the stand, Michael Cohen detailing with business records, text messages, a secret recording, and financial statements how he was instructed by Trump to pay porn star Stormy Daniels $130,000 to cover up an alleged sexual encounter she had with Trump back in 2006. But ABC's Aaron Katersky reports Cohen has credibility issues.
The defense called Cohen a convicted liar and said Cohen has a goal, an obsession with getting Trump. Defense attorney Todd Blanche told the jury, "I submit to you that he cannot be trusted." And prosecutor Josh Steinglass conceded Cohen has what you might consider to be some baggage. Even the judge said Cohen needed to be told to refrain from making any more statements about this case.
Trump 2024, more like Trump 20 to 24 years.
ABC News spotted him on TikTok antagonizing Trump.
Court resumes in the morning.
And here in Tennessee with a crime story, a teenager dead in an ATV accident on Saturday evening on Darbytown Drive in Nashville. A 14-year-old girl driving and hit the driver's side of a Jeep Patriot. Her passenger, 14-year-old Melanie Mosqueda, was transported to a hospital where she died. The driver had minor injuries. Neither were wearing a helmet. No evidence of intoxication at the scene. And over in Baltimore, workers conducted a controlled demolition of the largest remaining section of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, which was sitting on top of the cargo ship that toppled the bridge in late March Jay O'Brien with more.
This section was too twisted and dangerous to cut up and haul away like other parts of the bridge, officials said, so a controlled demolition was needed. Now that that's over, crews will haul away the smaller sections of steel and ultimately try to tow the ship away. Meantime, the cargo ship's crew will remain on board as they have since late March when the bridge collapsed. They're maintaining the vessel and helping salvage crews, officials say.
And officials with the state of Maryland and the Coast Guard say they hope to fully reopen the port by the end of the month. And cicada season here in Tennessee, there's what your farm would call a jillion cicadas here in the Volunteer State. The brood is the 17-year variety, and they're making themselves known. The mating sound can reach up to 100 decibels, which is about the equivalent to a motorcycle or a jackhammer. They typically have a lifespan of 4 to 6 weeks, so most of them will be gone by June. That is the latest news, traffic, weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It is 7 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock, hour number 3, kicking off here for the drive on this Monday afternoon. Let's get you home. Let's get you situated safely there. But along the way, we're going to give you news and information you can use so you can drive the conversation at dinner. That's right. Have a nice conversation with the kids. Tell them some of the stuff that you learned. Tell them about the cows that floated away in the flash flood 19 miles the other day here in our area.
They'll never believe them.
I can't believe it. That they found these cows that flooded away in the flash flood when we had the heavy rains, and they ended up 19 miles away from their farm.
Kids would go, Dad, you're making that up.
No,
quit making stuff up.
Apparently it's true. I read it right there on the website. It had to happen. So, look, who knew? I didn't know cows would float.
Well, I'm glad they did.
Yeah, I am too. I really am.
Better than them sinking, I suppose.
Yeah, when 100 of them get washed away and you get all 100 of them back, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It's been amazing, a truly amazing story. Amid all of really sort of the sadness with some people, really. Some of these houses are just rubble. When you see the pictures, and of course we have had some unfortunate deaths. I want to talk about the 2020 campaign and where we are, because there's some really interesting stuff. Let me start with this. Conservative outside groups are about to drop about $70 million on Senate Democrats in battleground states. Look, we talk often about the battle for the presidency, but if you look at the Senate right now, according to RealClearPolitics.com, there are right now the battle for Congress. Probably, we're talking in the Senate right now. The GOP is probably good on about 49 of its senators, but there are a lot more Democrats who have to defend their seats this time around. The way it fell. And so there are about 43 Democrats that are looked to be in pretty secure position. That leaves 8 toss-up states, 8 toss-up races for the United States Senate. And we're going to talk in a moment about a tremendously positive poll done by the New York Times Siena and it shows that Donald Trump's leading in the battleground states. But those same polls show that, in Arizona, Gallego is leading over Lake by about 3 points. In Pennsylvania, Casey is leading McCormick. The Republican candidate is being bested by Casey. Wisconsin, Tammy Baldwin is doing very well. So the Democrats that are running for re-election are doing. They're not setting the world on fire, but they're doing fairly well. This will help. One Nation, a top conservative group, plowing $70 million into hitting vulnerable Democrats in key Senate races nationwide. The nonprofit advocacy outfit, which is closely aligned with GOP leaders and top GOP super PAC, dropping tens of millions into 5 battleground states to join a campaign already up in Montana. The group is diving into, are you ready? Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Nevada in a sweeping ad buy focused on the southern border and inflation, an effort branded as Stop the Insanity campaign. The push includes spending on radio, mail, TV, and digital. The total spend for this campaign cycle will be $88 million, more than double the $43 million in ads that the group ran last cycle. The lion's share of the new money will go into what Republicans currently see as their top 3 pickup opportunities. $28.6 million in ads for Ohio and $18.6 million in Pennsylvania starting in mid-June. And Montana. They want Tester's seat pretty bad. One Nation will air $9.4 million in ads in Michigan, $7.5 million in Wisconsin, and $5.9 million in Nevada as the summer goes along. So there you have that. That's a good effort. Glad to see that we're not losing sight, because I think our best chance is the Senate. My real concern is whether or not we can hold on to the House, because it's very tight, very tight. But we'll see. Maybe there's going to be a wave. I hate to say that. Maybe there'll be some coattails. Donald Trump held an amazing rally this weekend in New Jersey. Now, you would think He's tied up in court. Why go to New Jersey? Well, I don't know, but if I were the Biden campaign and I looked at what happened in New Jersey over the weekend, I'd be puckered. I would. Because I look at it and I go, wow. By most estimates, and it certainly looks this way to me, somewhere between 80 and 100,000 people showed up for this rally. And Trump made it very clear that he's gonna compete. He's going to try to compete in places like New Jersey, and he has a whole list of other states that he's saying he was in rare form this weekend. I mean, this was a great turnout for him in a very deeply blue state.
Thank you very much, Wildwood. Thank you. We love Wildwood. We've been here many times. We love this place. And there's nowhere else I'd rather be this beautiful evening. It is a nice one, right? Than right here on the Jersey Shore at the world-famous Wildwood Boardwalk. Great place with thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots. As you can see today, we're expanding the electoral map because we are going to officially play in the state of New Jersey. We're going to win the state of New Jersey. Got a great group of people with us, an incredible group of people. We're also looking really great in the state of Minnesota, which hasn't been won since 1952, and we're leading in the polls. And the state of Virginia, and actually many other states. I don't know, it could be all of them. This guy's so damn bad, it could be all of them. He's so bad, I think we're going to win them all. All across America, millions of people in so-called blue states are joining our movement based on love, intelligence, and a thing called common sense.
I mean, it was a heck of a rally. It really was, and nobody really expects that kind of turnout in a place like New Jersey of all, I mean, really, honestly. New Jersey has always been deeply blue. Now, they must be seeing something that's going on out there that they think that they can win in places like, well, New Jersey, Virginia, Minnesota would be a huge pickup. Now, against that backdrop, let me give you the latest New York Times Siena polls regarding the battleground states. Because, as you know, I often tell you, there's going to be some states that are just going to be blue. There's going to be some states that are just going to be red. You win by racking up the battleground states where you need to get to 270 electoral college votes. 270 is the magic number, right? So we look at these places where it's on the bubble. Could go either way. But except that in 5 out of the 6 battleground states, Trump is now leading, and that's been that way for a while. You ready? Here are some. These numbers are amazing. Arizona, Trump up by 6. That's just outside the margin of error. In Georgia, Trump is up by 9. That is outside the margin of error. In Michigan, it's tighter. Biden is up by 1. That's within the margin of error. Nevada, Trump, this is astounding. Trump is up by 13 points in Nevada. I mean, wow. In Pennsylvania, he's up by 3. And in Wisconsin, he's up by 1. So he leads in 5 out of the 6 battleground states. But, I mean, let's just say for a moment, play a little along with me as I play a little with the map, okay? If you go ahead and you say, well, Georgia, he's looking good there. He's looking awful good in Nevada and Arizona. Let's go ahead and just award those states and make them likely Republican states. That takes him to 268. 268 electoral college votes. Right? That means that if he can win one of the 3 other battleground states, the ones that are a little tighter, if he can pick off one of them, it's over. It's done. He becomes the next president. So those states are Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Any one of those 3 puts him well over. And it may be if he picks up a state like New Jersey, I mean, if he were somehow able to pull that off, or into Virginia, which is, it's been purplish, but I think he probably has a decent chance there. Youngkin did really well there, running as a conservative. And I just think that the headwinds are going against the Biden people, and they're at the back of the Trump people right now. And maybe that there is some change going on out there. But if he picks up a couple of those, he doesn't need to pick up these battleground states, these ones that are really tight. So I mean, I'm telling you, I have some optimism. Now, again, I just want a little caution. If you look at the general election numbers, which is popular vote, it's tighter. But we've got example after example after example of where we've had cases where a candidate won the popular vote but did not win the Electoral College count. Okay, we know that can happen. We've seen it happen. So I'm not too worried about the general election numbers. I'm really focused on these battleground states and how they're all shaping up. The folks over at CNN were talking about it.
These Sunbelt battleground states, frankly, for the Joe Biden campaign, these numbers are an absolute disaster. The smallest lead is in Arizona for Donald Trump. He's up 6. Look at this, 9 in Georgia, 13 in Nevada. My goodness gracious, my God. That is a huge lead. No Democrat has lost that state since John Kerry lost it back in 2004. How about these Great Lake battleground states? This is something that the Joe Biden campaign can work with. Look, Pennsylvania, Donald Trump up 3, but that's well within the margin of error. Wisconsin, Donald Trump up 1, well within the margin of error. And actually, a Joe Biden lead, well within the margin of error, up a point here. This they can work with the Joe Biden campaign. This, the Donald Trump campaign, absolutely loves, and it looks like a lot of the other polling on the Sunbelt battlegrounds.
When you're looking into the numbers, why do you think Biden is doing better in the Great Lakes and Trump is doing so much better in the Sunbelt?
Yeah, the Trump coalition is changing. That's basically what's cooking here. This is at least one of the big reasons why. So this is among likely voters in all these battleground states we just spoke about. Back in 2020, 84% of the Trump campaigns, the Trump coalition was white. Look where it is now. It's 78%. The non-white portion of the Trump coalition, it was 13% in 2020. Look at this now. It's 19%. So the Trump coalition is becoming more diverse. And, of course, those Sunbelt battleground states are more diverse than the Great Lake battleground states.
You're looking at the Nevadas and the Arizonas here.
Of course. If you look at Nevada, Arizona, heavy Hispanic population, Georgia, heavily African-American population. Michigan does have some black voters in it, but Pennsylvania and Wisconsin are heavily, heavily white.
It's very interesting. Okay, add it all up. What does this say about where the race stands right now? We're talking Electoral College and the race to 270.
Yeah, the race to 270. It's advantage Donald Trump, but he's not over the 270 mark just yet, all right?
No, but it's looking positive. It really is. The thing that is most interesting, virtually no change in these battleground polls since the last New York Times Siena poll was taken, indicating I think a lot of people have sort of made up their mind already, perhaps, about all this. And the things that are going on aren't really changing people's minds. 21 past the hour. You know, there are no pills or spinal creams that magically open up your spinal disc and take pressure off your nerves. You have two choices. You can do surgery, you can do non-invasive spinal decompression if your back is hurting. I chose non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Dr. Kevin Mitchell is my doctor. He can be your doctor. Dr. Ashley there as well. Their state-of-the-art facilities with high-tech equipment offer the latest non-surgical procedures. Getting better is so important that Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley are offering half off spinal decompression treatment and half off the KT knee machine. The KT knee machine is sort of like spinal decompression for your knee, and it can really help. Here's the thing. If you are a new patient, call this number, 615-246-5009. Set up your first appointment, your first exam consultation, and first treatment, all for $23. I'm Brian Wilson, and I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. So call them today at 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Ceasefire negotiations continuing between Israel and Hamas. Another tornado confirmed in Tennessee from last week's severe weather. And more protests around college campuses. Those stories, 5:30 Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat.
That's right. It's time for Mac Morey's wide, wild, wacky, weird world of sports. And now, here without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, the man who makes it all understandable for us, the incomparable Mac Morey.
Woo! Happy Monday.
Yep, it is all day.
And we're almost done. We're doing great.
Yeah.
What are we almost done with?
Oh, Mondays.
Yeah, well,
almost done with Monday.
Almost done with Monday.
Yeah.
But of course, this is the highlight of many people's Monday or any other afternoon.
Of course.
All right. So what's up today? I didn't get the memo.
So today we're doing a couple of things just real quick, but they did release the opening NFL game of the season. Usually it is it is always the Super Bowl winner, which would be the Kansas City Chiefs. So my Chiefs will be opening.
Why? I see my.
Yes, Patrick LeVon Mahomes II will start out our NFL season at Arrowhead, and they will be hosting drumroll, the Baltimore Ravens, which was the matchup of the AFC Championship game.
That'd be a good game.
Yep, 4 of the last 5 MVP awards, I believe, are hosted by these 2 quarterbacks. 2 for Lamar Jackson, 2 for Patrick Mahomes. So this is going to be obviously a tightly contested matchup. These are 2 of the favorites in the AFC. If there's a tiebreaker for the number 1 seed at the end of the season, it could come down to week 1.
To that game.
Yeah, to that game, which is kind of why I was surprised they did it. Usually they save that for later on. You kind of know the math now, and oh my gosh, they're both 12-3, and week 16 comes around, and Ravens Chiefs is going to be prime time Monday Night Football, biggest game of the year. So, but I get it though. You're starting off hot. I thought it was going to be the Houston Texans. Thought it was going to be Chiefs versus the new up and coming quarterback C.J. Stroud, who is now stacked with wide receivers and a brand new coach that was fantastic last year. And they've got, the defensive rookie of the year on the other end. I thought that was going to be where they kind of headed. So they're going to save that matchup for later, it looks like. And it will be Baltimore versus Kansas City. But, can't complain. You got 2 dynamic coaches, 2 dynamic teams, 2 fantastic star quarterbacks to start off the season Thursday night at Kansas City. So that will be the season opener, and we'll have the whole season released here on Thursday. They milk this. The NFL just kind of learns how to elongate every little thing and make
themselves in the headlines.
Oh, yeah. 365, 24/7. So this used to just be one day. Today was the day where we got the whole schedule.
The whole schedule.
Yeah,
now we got to stretch it out.
Now we're going to stretch it out. We're not going to get the whole schedule till Thursday. Tomorrow we'll get another announcement. Hey, week 10, this is the game, week 10. Tomorrow we'll get week 7, get ready for this. Hey, your Thanksgiving games, get ready for this. And then finally on Thursday we'll get the whole schedule. So they milk that, and for what it's worth, it's fine. I'm okay. I'm going to eat it all up. I complain about it, but I'm going to eat every second of it up. So Kansas City, Baltimore will be the opening game for the NFL season. Over in the NBA, I've kind of been covering some playoff stuff. Yesterday, we had the Nuggets face the Timberwolves. I told you guys, Denver, reigning champions, lost the first 2 games at home versus Minnesota. They had to go to Minnesota, try to come back, down 3-1 or down 3-0, a death sentence. They win game 3. They get 2-1. Game 4, down 3-1. That's a death sentence as well in any sport. They win game 4 in a huge matchup last night. Even though Anthony Edwards had over, I think it was 44 points. He was a one-man show. None of his other teammates were able to show up. The Nuggets got the win last night, 115-107. And the Pacers, that game was over by the end of the first quarter, 121-89. The New York Knicks brought out their starters in the third quarter. That was the whole bench for the whole second half. They're injured. They're playing their players 40-plus minutes a game, and it's finally starting to catch up with them.
Right.
They'll play tomorrow night. That rest is greatly needed. But the Knicks, shorthanded, injured. See if they can get past what was originally thought to be a lesser talented team in Indiana. So exciting stuff.
All right. And time now to take off the sports hat, put on the news hat, because it's news time at Super Talk 99.7.
.5:30, I'm Mac Morey with your top story. 64 degrees, cloudy, wet day in Nashville. Traffic report, weather forecast, 5 minutes. Starting in the nation's capital during today's daily White House briefing, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan pushed for ceasefire negotiations to continue between Israel and Hamas. Karen Travers.
National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says the Biden administration is, quote, urgently and relentlessly working for a ceasefire and hostage deal.
We believe there is a framework that both sides could sign up to, and it's really about the specifics of that framework and filling that out that's necessary.
Ceasefire negotiations broke down last week. Sullivan reiterating the U.S. believes the onus is on Hamas.
The world should be calling on Hamas to come back to the table and accept a deal.
And here in Tennessee, we now know of a 6th tornado confirmed to have touched down in Tennessee during last week's severe weather outbreak. The National Weather Service says an EF1 tornado with 105-mile-an-hour winds touched down 85 miles south of Nashville near Ardmore, traveled more than 6 miles, ending southwest of Fayetteville. Its path was 1.5 times wider than a football field, but no injuries were reported and only sporadic structural damage and downed trees occurred. And as more colleges nationwide hold graduation ceremonies, many still dealing with protests. Here's Alex Stone.
Free Palestine! Over the weekend, police in riot gear scuffled with pro-Palestinian protesters who tried to block access to Southern California's Pomona College commencement ceremony, which had already been moved to a new venue because the original stage had been overtaken by protesters. And at Arizona State University, the campus police chief is now under investigation on paid administrative leave for his handling of recent protests. He's accused of being seen in street clothes cutting down tents with a knife.
And that is the latest news, weather, traffic on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Are your retirement assets structured to minimize taxes? This is important. Hard to believe, but many hardworking Americans, just like you, could be overpaying on taxes in retirement. You may be taxed on your IRA, your 401k, any other tax-deferred retirement accounts. Beacon Capital Management is here to give you peace of mind with all that. With the threat of massive tax increases just around the corner, your nest egg could be in trouble unless you take advantage of defensive tax-saving strategies now. Defend your hard-earned retirement savings by scheduling a free retirement tax reduction analysis today. Now, no cost, no pressure, no obligation. If you've saved more than $250,000 for retirement, don't wait any longer to schedule your free retirement tax reduction analysis from Beacon. Just call this number. You ready? 615-488-9303 or visit askbeaconnow.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It is 37 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair on this sort of gloomy, sort of grayish, cool day. I mean, Mother's Day. Wasn't Mother's Day nice?
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Just great. We had my bonus Cabana son-in-law. He was over.
Is that his official name, the Cabana son-in-law?
The bonus Cabana son-in-law. he was over. A good guy, Chris is, and came over and we cooked out, and it was very lovely. Being serenaded by the cicadas.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the great moments where, I've mentioned before that I have a little hearing loss because of years and years of having headphones on and earpieces when I was in TV. I can't tell you the number of times you'd be sitting there with a earpiece and bam, something loud would come down the line you weren't expecting. So, it takes its toll over the years. So I have a little of this tinnitus, they call it. Some people call it tinnitus. We learned the other day the correct pronunciation of the word is tinnitus.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't know. Potatoes. But the wonderful thing about having a little bit of tinnitus is that I hear that sound all the time.
Yeah, it doesn't bother you, does it?
It doesn't bother me in the least. I'm immune to it. And so it doesn't, when I go outside, I hear it, but I don't hear it the way apparently everybody else does.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty loud and obnoxious. I mean, to tell you, I'm not making this up. It felt like there were about a jillion of these things in my backyard. You ever imagine like a beehive, right?
Mm.
And you imagine the visual of bees, buzzing around the hive, like a big cluster of them, always like maybe 100 of them buzzing around the hive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what's going on in my backyard, except instead of the beehive, it's in the trees. And they're just thousands and thousands and thousands of them.
Wow.
And I walked in, and for some reason, they like the white garage door in my garage. Because, I've got maybe, I don't know, 300-400 of those leftover crusty shells, when they come out.
Yeah, uh-huh.
They're just
scattered everywhere. Yeah.
They're everywhere. And the dog likes them. She thinks they're tasty.
It's like, just pork rinds.
Yeah. Well, we set out and did that, but, it didn't bother me at all, but everybody else going. And finally, about when it gets a little cooler in the evening, they sort of stop.
Mm-hmm.
They sort of calm down and they don't
call it for the day, I guess.
They call it for a day, whatever. They don't make as much noise. So it finally turned into it. After that lovely weekend, with the exception of being, molested by cicadas, it was really sort of disappointing to see how cool it is today. And it's going to be cool and sort of rainy, I think, most of the week.
Yep.
So
might have some, heavier stuff, heavier rains come in occasionally. So
I think we've had enough of that. Thank you.
Yep.
We can do without, but we'll see what happens. Of course, if it's there, we'll be there to report it. I want to spend a few moments talking about this weird, strange case of an individual by the name of Mackenzie McClure. Tennessee Star's been doing some pretty good reporting on this. Mackenzie McClure is a biological female and a former Christ Presbyterian Academy student who has been accused by authorities of cyber stalking and is now behind bars pending other hearings. And according to the Star, there are incredible and very troubling comparisons to be made to the individual Mackenzie McClure and the Covenant shooter, Audrey Hale. Let me just run through. They just number them here, and it really is quite. Now, by the way, she was arrested on April 29th by federal agents on cyber stalking charges after she made public threats against Governor Bill Lee and left a concerning voicemail to her old school in March, and she remains in federal custody. More on that in a moment. Okay. 7 troubling parallels between the stories of these two individuals. They were 1 year apart in age. McClure, this new individual, born in 94, and the Covenant shooter was born in 95. They attended elementary schools operated by 2 Nashville churches. affiliated with the Presbyterian churches in America at about the same time. McClure attended CPA from 99 to 2004, and the Covenant shooter attended Covenant School 2001 to 2006. As adults, they both expressed extreme anger at their elementary school experiences. They both failed to thrive as adults. Again, this is the writing of the Tennessee Star. They both transitioned or stated their intent to transition from biological female to transgender male. They both appear to share a left-wing progressive political ideology, and they both visited their former schools shortly prior to an incident of violence or an incident of the threat of violence. There are some differences in that the Covenant shooter was possessed and was trained in the use of firearms, of course. No indication currently that indicates this new individual, Mackenzie McClure, possessed firearms or was trained in the use of them. The Mackenzie McClure married, born Mackenzie Ann Stevens, married a man in 2017 prior to her transitioning of a transgender male. And although McClure has had charged a past domestic assault in 2022, though the charges were dismissed, the Covenant shooter had no prior police records. But I mean, those are pretty interesting parallels there. And extreme anger directed at their former elementary schools for some reason. So interesting stuff. Now, the individual who Mackenzie McClure, again, the biological female, who is transitioning to male, arrested on cyber stalking charges, threats made against the governor. According to Assistant U.S. Attorney Mike Wildison, McClure is in federal custody at least until June 3rd, at which time the court will resume a detention hearing. As McClure is in custody, no terms of release have been set. If the court denies our motion for detention after the June 3rd hearing, the court will enter an order setting the conditions. For security reasons, in every case, we do not provide information on where a pre-trial detainee is being held. So, but right now, for the moment, until June, behind bars. But it's very troubling that there are these similarities between these two cases. Of course, we're still trying to figure out exactly what happened and what was the motivation of the shooter at the Covenant School, and still ongoing. And it's just maddening to me that this is still ongoing. We are in the midst of court hearings about whether or not this would ever be released. I just don't understand how we are now well more than a year past the Covenant shooting, and we still don't have any insight into the motivations and what was in these. They call them manifestos. I think, really, honestly, you would call them rantings. But there were many diaries. There were some things found in the car at the site of the attack, but there were many other writings and diaries and things that had been written down by the individual at the house that are, again, are what we now euphemistically call the manifesto. I don't think that's an accurate term for it. Still tied up in court. How long is this thing going to go? And we say we need to learn from this. What is the motivation for keeping this tied up? I mean, the family members, God love them. I can't even begin to understand their loss. The people who've lost people, the 6 people who died at the Covenant shooting, I understand that. But there is a certified public interest, I think, in trying to know more about the motivations of the individual. I think it's a fair question to ask whether or not the treatment that the individual was undergoing, and we understand they were undergoing some kind of therapy. We need to know more about that. How long will it take? And we keep being told, this is the latest development is we keep being told that the Covenant shooting case is still an active investigation. Now, there's never going to be a prosecution of the shooter because the shooter is dead. But what is that investigation about? Why does it go on? And how long does it take to finish up an investigation of this nature? I mean, my goodness. How long can it go? And how long before we finally find out exactly, what was the motivation of that individual, so that we, not because we need that in any prurient way, that information. What we need is an understanding. Because if we ever want to try to do anything with the passage of laws, etc., to help us understand the situation would really be a benefit. So, I'm struck by the parallels of these two particular cases. We'll keep you apprised of what happens here. Individual behind bars now until at least June 3rd, and then we'll find out whether or not that individual will be released. We'll call it 49 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. Restoration Wellness and Med Spa, let me tell you, they're good people. I'm working with them, and I'm very happy. You should let the team at Restoration Wellness help you achieve your summer goals. Restoration Wellness is a leader in weight loss management in Wilson County, and summer is right around the corner. You want to look good in your bathing suit. You want to look good in your shorts. You want to go look good if you go to the pool or to the beach. Call the Restoration Wellness team today at 615-480-8124 or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation today. My friends Carly and Jamie will take care of you like you're one of their own. They're really lovely people and really can help you get a customized plan. This is not a one-size-fits-all process. Be part of 1,000 patients who have already seen life-changing results from the weight loss management program at Restoration Wellness and Med Spa. Restoration Wellness considers your unique styles, your lifestyle, your goals, and they come up with a plan. It's working for me. It's working for Cabana Wife. So whether your goal is to lose a stubborn body fat or improve your overall health, you need to go to Restoration Wellness. The newest technology in weight loss management is available there. Learn more by going to their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, californiaclosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, californiaclosets.com.
Coming up at 6, Derek Dennis filling us in on testimony of the Donald Trump hush money trial. Filling up a car just got cheaper this week. You could see your law enforcement with the Tennessee National Guard. Don't be alarmed, and I'll catch you up on the latest rap feud. 6 o'clock, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, well, coming up here in the next hour, we'll talk about Kamala Harris. I mean, whatever happened to, watching your tongue a little bit? I mean, honestly. She's doing a thing and she drops the F-bomb. She's talking to students and just in the middle of, this is the vice president of the United States. This is a person who is one heartbeat away from the presidency, right? And, is that appropriate? So we'll play that for you. That's all coming up in just a few moments after the news at the top of the hour. Let's call it 56 minutes now, past the hour of 5 o'clock. On Super Talk 99.7. Grace Point Healthcare is the standard for affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine. How? Well, as a direct pay provider, your health care is delivered without the red tape of an insurer's guidelines. Smart Care plans make it even more affordable. Starting at $69 a month, you get free office visits and basic labs for the entire year. Grace Point identifies and treats the root causes of a condition, not just the symptoms, using a comprehensive, functional approach. And by usually seeing you the same day or the next day, you're treated at your convenience. Grace Point Healthcare, affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. Located on Main Street in Franklin, here's the number, 615-599-6868. That's 599-6868 to schedule an appointment.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Six o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top story, 63 degrees. It's been a rainy day. It'll be a rainy week here on Music Row. Latest traffic report, that weather forecast headed your way 5 minutes. Derek Dennis fills us in as today's testimony in the Donald Trump hush money trials concluded.
Court is done for the day after a long day of explosive testimony in the hush money trial of former President Trump in New York City. On the stand, Michael Cohen detailing with business records, text messages, a secret recording, and financial statements how he was instructed by Trump to pay porn star Stormy Daniels $130,000 to cover up an alleged sexual encounter she had with Trump back in 2006. But ABC's Aaron Katersky reports Cohen has credibility issues.
The defense called Cohen a convicted liar and said Cohen has a goal, an obsession with getting Trump. Defense attorney Todd Blanche told the jury, I submit to you that he cannot be trusted. And prosecutor Josh Steinglass conceded Cohen has what you might consider to be some baggage. Even the judge said Cohen needed to be told to refrain from making any more statements about this case.
Trump 2024, more like Trump 20 to 24 years.
ABC News spotted him on TikTok antagonizing Trump.
Court resumes in the morning.
And filling up a car got cheaper this past week, as we hear from Alex Stone.
After weeks of gas prices rising earlier this year, the cool down is continuing. The price of regular unleaded came down another 4 cents a gallon in the past week, according to new data out from the Energy Department. The nationwide average is now at $3.61 a gallon. The most expensive, as is usual, is in California at $5.05 a gallon for regular unleaded. Analysts say as the economy cools and refineries wrap up maintenance and produce more gas, prices should keep inching down.
Here in Tennessee, News 2 says that your local law enforcement may be working with the Tennessee National Guard this week. The Tennessee Military Department conducting an emergency response exercise that'll be going on throughout the state from May 15th to the 19th. It's called Tennessee Maneuvers 2024. The exercises are going to occur in several Middle Tennessee counties. Those include Coffee, Davidson, Murray, Rutherford, and Wilson counties. Numerous police and fire departments will be participating in the exercise, including the Nashville Fire Department's Helicopter Aquatic Rescue Team. All events will be coordinated through the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency and local emergency management agencies. And some entertainment news in the rap feud between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. There's a clear winner on the charts, Jason Nathanson.
If rap beefs were settled by Billboard,
say Drake. I hear you like I'm young.
Kendrick Lamar would be the winner over Drake. Lamar's diss track, Not Like Us, debuts at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart. The song a takedown of Drake, but it's not the only one in the top 10. Lamar's Euphoria is number 3, and the song that reignited the feud, Like That, is number 6. That's 3 Lamar songs that are above Drake's highest charting entry.
Hey, Kendrick just opened his mouth.
Family Matters debuts at number 7.
And that is the latest news, traffic, weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number 1, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number 2, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
6 minutes past the hour, 6 o'clock in our fourth and final hour on this Monday, May 13th. How you doing out there? Did you get through the first day back at work okay? I mean, it was a Monday. Yeah, I'm glad. We'll get you home. We'll get you situated. We'll give you some news and information you can use. You know how I started my day this morning, Chris?
How's that?
In a big metal tube.
Oh, one of those, huh?
I had to do an MRI today.
Yeah, those are always fun.
I don't want you to worry. We're trying to get some information for a piece of therapy that I'm going to need to do, in my aching, aging old body. But nothing big, nothing to be concerned about. But that is an experience,
Yes. I've done it one time, and I don't care to do it again.
I'm not particularly claustrophobic. And I've always been able to, in situations like that, sort of just shut my eyes and actually sometimes I just go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't bother me. But I will tell you, I think the experience of being in a big metal tube and having an MRI is a different experience for somebody who's a little larger. Like me. I mean, I'm a big guy.
I would imagine, yeah.
So, I mean, some people can slide right into that tube and they got room to spare.
They have to grease you up first.
They have to pound me in there. You get a big mullet. Get in there. No, you need to go in another 6 inches. No, but I mean, it's really tight around the shoulders and all of that. So
the worst part about it to me is, and I'm a little bit on the claustrophobic side, I would say, but that didn't really bother me so much. What bothered me was being told, okay, don't move for the next 45 minutes or whatever it is that you're in there. I mean, you tell me don't move, and then all I can think about is, okay, I can't move. I can't move.
I know. I mean,
that drove me crazy.
Yeah, this one wasn't one of those. I've had them before where, when I was dealing with some of the irregular heartbeats that I was experiencing last year, which has been resolved. But when I did that time, they were doing a focus on my heart, and that was very critical.
Yeah.
And then they would say things like, hold your breath.
That's always nice.
And then, okay, now you can let it go. But I mean, they was that none of that today. This is a much simpler thing, but it is an interesting experience. The guy says, "What kind of music you want?" I said, "I think I'm in the mood for some 70s rock." So they just crank it in there, and I was just listening to,
It helps drown out all the.
I know, and boy, that thing makes a lot of racket, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it really is something. But it's amazing technology. When you see the results of it, you go, oh my Lord!
Mm-hmm.
Years ago, when they were, starting to use this thing, they were a lot louder and a lot more obnoxious. And I went in. I had a client that did this, but they called it, total body MRI. You come in and do a complete scan of everything in your body, and it's a pretty cool thing to do. And it was actually a client, and I was doing their spots. That said, "Come on in, we'll do a full MRI." Man, I'm telling you. That was an experience.
I bet it was.
I mean, it was. I was there for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool. Anyway, thanks to the folks at Ascension Midtown today for making sure that it was I was in and out in about 35, 40, 45 minutes. So not a big deal.
Not bad.
Not too bad. Let's see. Pick up some stuff here. I want to talk a little bit about this trial that's going on. I don't believe that this trial is changing anything. You got Michael Cohen, and then we've had Stormy Daniels and this sleazy cast of characters that have come in to testify against Donald Trump. All right, but where's the crime? And so far I haven't really seen evidence of, because this is a document case. Now, let's not lose sight of that. It's a documents case, and the documents are not backing up, it would seem to me. I mean, you can have this guy Cohen, who's a known liar, and come in and say anything in the world, but can you believe him? Is he credible? That's the question. And I think that a lot of people out there are just tired of all of this stuff, these trials, and they see it for what it is. Here's a story I thought sort of got at that from thedailycaller.com. CNN Chief National Affairs Correspondent Jeff Zeleny said Monday that swing state voters informed him that they are sickened and bored of former President Donald Trump's trial. Trump is leading President Joe Biden by 13% among likely Nevada voters, 9% in Georgia, 6% in Arizona, 3% in Pennsylvania, 1% in Wisconsin. This according to the New York Times Siena poll published on Monday. And Zeleny said, and I agree with him on this, that there's not been a political downside to Trump's trials thus far, saying that voters currently care more about their own pocketbooks. I mean, honestly, think about it. What do you care about? Something that you've heard a dozen times and that sort of just, becomes background noise that you get weary of and you check out and you don't really focus on it because it's just like, I don't care. You get to the point where I just don't care. Or do you care about how much you're paying for food and groceries and gasoline and rent and everything else that you buy? I think he's probably right. This is a reminder that we have no idea at all the political fallout from this, if there is any from this trial. It's kind of remarkable to think that there wouldn't be, but if you look at these battleground states that are going to be central to this re-election, the former president is beating the current president outside the margin of error in every state but two, Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. We'll have to wait to see what the verdict is and how voters are assessing it, but as I talk, voters across the country in these battleground states, as I talk to them, many of them aren't paying attention at all and are disgusted and sort of tired with this. But the numbers beyond the horse race is also interesting. Goes on to talk about the numbers. Well, we've talked about them before. If you want to know very quickly, the battleground polls came out. Trump up by 6 in Arizona, 9 in Georgia, up by 13 in Nevada, up by 3 in Pennsylvania, or 4, depending if it's a 5-way race. He's up in Wisconsin by 4 in the 5-way race. The only state where Biden is leading, and it's only within the margin of error, is in Michigan. So, and those numbers haven't changed since the last time, not dramatically, not appreciably so, since the last time they did the battleground poll for New York Times Siena. At the trial today, Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio made an appearance. Very effective appearance where he talked about, how what he thought about this Michael Cohen, who's testifying.
First of all, Michael Cohen is the prosecution's star witness. This guy is a convicted felon who admitted in his testimony that he secretly recorded his former employer, that he only did it once, allegedly, and that this was supposed to help Donald Trump. Does any reasonable, sensible person believe anything that Michael Cohen says? I don't think that they should, and I actually think that his testimony is going to hurt with any reasonable juror, and hopefully we have a few of those. I want to say 2 other things here very quickly. Number one, the thing that the president is prevented from saying, which is a disgrace, is that every single person involved in this prosecution is practically a Democratic political operative. The judge inside, his daughter is making millions of dollars running against Donald Trump, raising money for Donald Trump's political opponents. The number 3 person in the Department of Justice, Biden's Department of Justice, left to become a local prosecutor to go after Donald Trump. And of course, there's Alvin Bragg, a Soros-funded prosecutor who promised to go after Donald Trump and now is doing exactly that. Now, look, whether you love Donald Trump, whether you like Donald Trump, or whether you're a Democrat or don't care about politics, what's going on inside that courtroom is a threat to American democracy, ladies and gentlemen. We cannot have a country where you get to prosecute your political opponents instead of persuading voters. Joe Biden's entire strategy is to try to distract from inflation at home and war overseas with this sham trial. I just want to live in a reasonable country where we try to persuade voters in our politics. We don't try to throw our political opponents in jail. So this is a disgrace, and I wanted to be here to show some support for my friend.
J.D. Vance has been talked about as a possible vice presidential running mate to Donald Trump, and I'm liking the guy a lot. Every time I hear him speak, I walk away going, wow, this guy's got something going on. And it's great that people who are supportive of Trump are going to the trial and standing down there, because there are things that Donald Trump cannot say because he's under a gag order, a very unfair gag order. And so, you need surrogates who can go out there and say that. And that's what J.D. Vance did, standing United States Senator from Ohio. Listen, I think you could do very well to have J.D. Vance as your running mate. Handled himself quite well, I think, in that situation. But big picture, these trials, and a lot of the four trials, the four cases that are pending, 3 of them are in shambles, and this one is going on, and it's nothing but a sordid dog and pony show. And again, I'm not sure they've made the case. That doesn't mean there won't be a conviction, because you got a jury pool coming from New York, and you got a judge who's sort of got his thumb on the scale in favor of the Bidens and against Donald Trump. So I'm not sure you're going to get a fair hearing from this guy, and he's not going to give you any breaks. That seems to be sure. But I don't think that this is registering. Here's the bottom line. People know Donald Trump. They have seen him. They had an experience with him. They may have been a little irritated with him at some point, but they look back and they go, so much better than what we got right now. And we sure were in better shape financially, sure had a better economy. Things were strong back when Donald Trump was the president, and they're not now. And it doesn't look like it's going to get any better. And they look at Joe Biden, they say, is this feeble, old, shriveled up man who's got dementia and can barely make it, through his business day? This is the guy that's going to make it better? How in the world can we possibly support reelecting this guy? So I think that, but they know Joe Biden. They know Donald Trump. And a good number of them say, well, I wish we had another choice, but if these are our choices, then I think I know which way I'm going to go. And I think the cake is largely baked. I don't think honestly, if you like Donald Trump, is there anything in the world at this point that's going to change your mind about Donald Trump? And if you don't like Joe Biden, is there anything in the world that's going to change your mind about Joe Biden that suddenly is going to happen, that's going to just dramatically change your worldview of Joe Biden? No, I think people understand what we're dealing with. And I think because they are so well known to us, I think that these numbers, they might move a little here and there, but I don't know that I see anything on the horizon that is going to dramatically move the needle on these numbers. And slowly but surely, the numbers, as I reported to you earlier, continue to look more positive for Donald Trump than they do for Joe Biden. I mean, right now, if he picks up one of these states, Minnesota, Wisconsin, or Pennsylvania, where he's leading in each of them except, Michigan, you put that one in there. So let's talk 4. Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. He needs to pick up one. If these other numbers are correct. And I think they are. So, this thing is starting to, I think, sort of solidify early, much earlier. Now, people say, well, what about last minute people who don't pay much attention? Yeah, that could have an impact. People who are undecided, who don't pay much attention to politics like you and I do, they sort of at the last minute jump into the pool and decide they're going to go vote. But as it stands right now, I think that a great deal of people out there, they pretty much know where they're going to vote right now. And I don't think it's much going to change. 20 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
25 past the hour of 6 o'clock on this Monday, wrapping things up as we head toward the 7 o'clock hour. Hand it over to Mark Levin, as we always do, so we can carry on through the evening. Kamala Harris, you stay classy, Kamala. Yeah, I saved this for the end of the show so I didn't run you off earlier. But we got to play this. So Kamala Harris is talking to a bunch of young Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander people on Monday. And she just out and out, cameras rolling, microphones everywhere, just drops the old F-bomb.
And then you need to kick that door down. Excuse my language.
We're going to make T-shirts with that saying, kick the door down.
So here it is. You have to know that sometimes people will open the door for you and leave it open. Sometimes they won't, and you need to kick the effing door down, Harris said at the annual Asian Pacific American Institute for Congressional Studies Legislative Leadership Summit. And the guy you heard there is Jimmy O. Yang, a comedian of some note, saying that we need to make some T-shirts. So classy. I mean, look, I'm no Pollyanna when it comes to, I've heard words like this before, but I mean, whatever happened to have a modicum of respect when you're on the public stage as a public figure? We don't need our vice president dropping the F-bomb. It's just unnecessary. And, honestly, why in the world did you feel it was necessary to do that? It's become, I guess, more commonplace now. Talk to people the way people talk. Speak in blunt terms. And certainly, if there's no doubt she's used that word a lot in private, but not ever on the public stage before, to my knowledge. I just don't think we need it. I think it's just not necessary for the public discourse. House Oversight moves on to contempt charges for, let's try that again. House Oversight, the committee run by James Comer, is moving on potential contempt charges against the Attorney General of the United States of America, Merrick Garland. They will meet later this week for a markup session on a resolution to hold him in contempt. Thursday's session is responsive to Garland's refusal to turn over audio tapes of President Joe Biden's interviews during the investigation of Special Counsel Robert Hur into Biden's mishandling of classified documents. The House Oversight and Judiciary Committee issued lawful subpoenas to Attorney General Garland for the audio recordings of President Biden's interview with Special Counsel Hur, yet he continues to defy our subpoenas, Comer said in a press release. These audio recordings are important to our investigation of President Biden's willful retention of classified documents and his fitness to be president of the United States. There must be consequences, says Comer, for refusing to comply with lawful congressional subpoenas, and we will move to hold Attorney General Garland in contempt of Congress. So I don't know. We'll see how that works out. Garland twice has snubbed a subpoena to turn over the recordings. The most recent came on April 25th, when the Justice Department in a letter cited concerns about the potential misuse and the lack of a legitimate legislative or impeachment purpose for their release. Republicans want to hear for themselves how Hur reached the conclusion not to prosecute Biden for mishandling classified documents based on his determination that Biden would be characterized in any legal proceedings as a, quote, sympathetic, well-intentioned elderly man with a faulty memory. A contempt charge voted by the full House would generate a criminal referral to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington, D.C., which is under the purview of the Attorney General. They would then decide whether to prosecute their boss. I don't know. What do you think the chances are?
Can we go lower than zero?
So you get a referral to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and the U.S. Attorney Office has to decide whether they're going to indict or to pursue charges against their boss, the attorney general. Now, I don't know. It's not going to go anywhere, but do you find him in contempt? I mean, technically, he would be in contempt. I think it's within the boundaries of congressional in oversight to ask for this, but I don't know whether we're going to see it or not. I wouldn't hold my breath on it, but I mean, it would be interesting to see the attorney general held in contempt of Congress. 30 minutes now past the hour. Let me tell you about the folks over at Busy Bee. You know, really, the way that you make sure that your systems are always running is you do preventative maintenance on them. And that's what you need to be a member of the Beehive Club. You got to be. I am, and it's paid off so much for me. When you become a member of our Beehive Club for $99, that's where it starts, you receive the following. 3 annual tune-ups, 1 aimed at heating, 1 aimed at cooling, 1 aimed at plumbing, 10% discount on repairs, priority front-of-the-line service, $100 accrued annual replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000, no overtime or holiday fees ever, and you get access to exclusive Beehive member promotions. Special financing offers that continue, every month. Here we go. If you have a heating or cooling project, like let's say you need to replace a major system. Now, look, it happens. When I had to replace an entire system. It was too old. It'd been around for 25 years, and it was time to replace it. But you can get no interest if you can pay it off in 15 months. If it's a plumbing project, you can get 18 months, of course, with approved credit. The folks at Busy Bee are good people. They will take good care of you. You're going to get great treatment and great service. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, your official Rude Pro partner. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833, online at busybeehvac.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It is 38 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Brian Wilson in the chair and on the air. I have a fascination with this artificial intelligence thing called Chat GPT. And they got a new version of it that's coming out called GPT 4.0. And they say, we've seen some of the examples of the things that it can do. And they say it can hold a human-like conversation. I'm not talking about a chat by typing on it, but an actual conversation. It has a voice. It's like computer, and it said yes.
Al.
It's like Al. I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that. Please open the pod bay doors, pal. Well, there's also, like the computer on Star Trek.
That's right. Yeah.
They would ask a question and it would answer back. It can see, it can hear, it can speak with near instant response time. So it's really like having an actual conversation, except it's not a person. It's a piece of software. It's artificial intelligence, and it's amazing. So now apparently I have access to GPT-4, which is fast, but it's still typewritten, but they're going to be rolling out these new things that it can do. It can do image creation. It can generate an image. You tell it what you want, and it'll give you a picture. And it's the damnedest thing ever. I mean, it's just scary. You can upload something to it and ask it to do an analysis of whatever you're doing. You could do a browsing chat, sort of like having it do a search for you, a Google search. But here's an example of how crazy the thing is. And this response came back in maybe a second and a half.
Okay.
So here was the question. And I'm trying to think of something, mildly entertaining. I ate a cicada and now I feel queasy. What's happening to me now? And it answered. You ready? This is amazing. It came back like that. Eating cicadas is not typically harmful, as they are consumed in various parts of the world and are considered a source of protein. However, feeling queasy could be due to several reasons. Number one, allergic reaction. Some people might be allergic to cicadas or insects in general, leading to discomfort or gastrointestinal symptoms. Number two, digestive discomfort. If you're unaccustomed to eating insects, your digestive system might react differently, causing nausea or stomach upset. Number three, preparation and hygiene. How the cicada was prepared can also affect your reaction. Eating raw or poorly cooked cicadas might expose you to bacteria or parasites. And then it goes on to say, if your queasiness persists or worsens, it's advisable to drink plenty of water and possibly consult with a healthcare provider to ensure that there aren't more serious issues at play.
Kind of gave you everything you needed to know there, didn't it?
Yeah. It really did. You can ask this thing anything. Let's try one on the fly. Give me something that you want to ask it.
Oh, don't put me on the spot. Good grief. I don't know. I'm coming up blank now. You put me on the spot.
Well, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. How about we ask something about the Aurora Borealis?
All right. Yeah, that's good.
Let's ask about that. Let's see. Tell me about level 5, what do they call it? Mass coronal ejections, MCEs.
Or is it, I think it's CME. Coronal mass.
Is that right? Yeah. All right. This is entertaining. See if he catches it. Yep, here we go. A level 5 CME, or coronal mass ejection, refers to a large release of plasma and accompanying magnetic fields from the solar corona, the outer atmosphere of the sun. These events can vary in intensity. And it goes on to talk about, this goes on for paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. Can affect power grids, satellite operations, radio communications. Auroras may be seen as low as Florida, as we saw the other day, or in southern Texas, typically 40 degrees geomagnetic latitude. These events are monitored by various space weather institutions like NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center, to help mitigate the risk associated with extreme solar activity. But that's kind of, what's amazing is anything comes back in like a second and a half.
Ask it why, how come we don't colonize the sun?
That's a silly question. We colonize the sun. It's going to call me stupid.
If it really wanted to be human-like, it would go, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, I know.
That would be its response.
Oh, here it goes. It's just going to crank it out. Colonizing the sun is not feasible due to a variety of insurmountable challenges.
I thought there was just one.
Extreme heat is one. The surface of the sun is about 5,500 degrees Celsius, 9,932 degrees Fahrenheit, and is even hotter at its core. This would instantly destroy any known materials known use in spacecraft or structures, making it impossible for anything crafted by humans to survive there. Number 2.
If you needed more.
Inhospitable conditions.
Kind of goes along with the heat, right?
It radiates plasma with tremendous magnetic fields and radiation levels. Distance and energy required is approximately 93 million miles. Our space travel technology, particularly for manned missions, is primarily focused on the moon and Mars, which are immensely more accessible and hospitable compared to the sun. Then it talks about gravitational pulse. Of course, gravitational will be pulled right in. They are studying the sun to understand its properties and behavior, especially how it affects Earth. This is done from safe distance using telescopes.
So it's a no then.
Yeah, we can't do that.
No. Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah, but I would be great if you bonehead. What are you talking about? That's insane. Don't ask me stupid questions. I'm busy here. That's what I want. I wanted to talk to me like that. But in one way or the other, interesting stuff. In the next few days, you're going to see amazing stuff. This stuff gets wilder and wilder. It can see, it can hear, it can talk. I mean, now, you take that and you put that into a Boston Dynamics robot, and it's frightening, isn't it?
Yes, it would be.
I mean, and they literally almost could do that.
I'm sure they're thinking about it.
I know they're thinking about it.
They're going to be walking around.
Yeah. Well, you remember what happened on March 30th, 2:27 p.m., March 30th, 1981?
I do not recall.
I do remember. I wasn't there then. I came along in 86 and went to D.C. in 86, but President Ronald Reagan walked out of the Washington Hilton and was shot. Bodies fell. Secret Service agents whipped out their weapons. Reagan was heaved into the presidential limousine, taken to a nearby hospital. John Hinckley's attack against Reagan. None of the 6 bullets fired by assailant John Hinckley initially hit Reagan, but one ricocheted off the limo, striking him in the left side of the chest. The pandemonium behind, realizing the president had been hit, they went to George Washington University Hospital emergency room, not far from what we used to euphemistically call reporters, because we're sick individuals. We call it the Hinckley Hilton.
Oh, it's not nice.
No, it's not at all. Reagan walked into the ER, then he collapsed. Had the bullet hit his vital organs? Would the president need surgery? Was he otherwise going to be incapacitated? Was he dying? Where was Vice President Bush? Instantly, an ordinary Monday day turned into a day of confusion and panic. Well, the whole purpose of this article, which is in the Daily Mail, talks about how they have now unearthed tapes that reveal the White House chaos as the president lay unconscious. George H.W. Bush was not nearby. I think he was in Dallas and was immediately recalled. And there was a question about, well, how do we control this and who's in charge? Remember Alexander Haig, famously, chief of staff, walked into the briefing room and said, I'm in charge here, which technically wasn't true according to the Constitution. Constitution said it should be the vice president who was instantly in charge if the president was incapacitated. But he said he was. We wondered why. Well, we're now beginning to maybe understand a little bit more about that. They found out that they were notified shortly after the attack. Of course, I remember people talking about being there. I'm told that people at the CIA were freaked out because they thought it was an assassination, attempt against the president for political purposes. I mean, it just turned out to be this weirdo, John Hinckley. But I mean, they thought, is this the Russians? Who's behind this? They really, is it, who might have it in for Reagan? And apparently they got word during the midst of all of this chaos that Soviet nuclear submarines were patrolling close to D.C. I mean, that's scary. I mean, let me run through some of this stuff because Haig said, we'll be on a straight phone line with the hospital, so anything that is said before it is said, we'll discuss at this table. They're in the situation room. Any telephone calls that anybody's getting with instructions from the hospital comes to this table first, right here. Well, Haig was trying to keep things under control. Cap Weinberger said the football, that's the nuclear football, is near the vice president, so that's fine. So the vice president has a nuclear football as well. And we should get one over here. We have a duplicate one here. Get the football over here, said Haig. The longer the crisis went on, the less certain people were about what was happening. Haig, the president, as long as he's conscious, can function. And then somebody said, well, let me point out that the president is not now conscious. He was in surgery under anesthesia. With Vice President Bush still in flight to Washington, D.C. from Dallas, discussions were about who was in charge. Chaotic stuff. It'd be good reading. I recommend it to you. 50 minutes now past the hour. You know, when it comes to large home repairs, sometimes homeowners don't want to know the warning signs. They say, oh, I'm just not going to look. I don't want to know. It could be, I don't know what I'm going to be getting into. Especially true when you're talking about waterproofing or foundation repair. But, you know, the truth of the matter is it could be a big thing that needs to be fixed. Okay, that happens. Could be a small problem that if you fix it now, you'll be saving yourself a lot of trouble later when it becomes a bigger problem. Or it could be nothing at all. The bottom line is we don't know exactly what we need in situations like this because we're not experts. But the folks at United Structural Systems are. Over 25,000 100% satisfied residential customers since 1994. That's how long they've been in business, more than 25 years. Here's what happens. They'll come out to your house. They'll assess your situation. They'll tell you what's going on. They'll give you their best advice. And if you decide to go forward, you don't pay a penny until the job is done and you are completely, absolutely, 100% satisfied. USS, keeping homes dry and stable. That's what they do. They guarantee their best at USS, serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, online at USSTN.com. The number, 615-488-7855.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.